All right. Sorry about that, y'all. Another one of those Zoom crash days. Whoop. Let me just Yep, we're back. Yep. So yeah, let me get the bishops in here. This actually kind of works out because then it'll make it easier to title this one, because then there's the live reaction section and the discussion point. So yep, we are back. Good. Yep. It does mess up the views, but whatever. At the end of the day, it is what it is. All right, that's the longhand link. Hey, all right. Good chunk of you coming back anyway. Let's see. Tarnish is already in here.
Well, I was waiting for that link.
I can tell.
Waiting for that link.
Yep. Let me send that to this potential special guest. Let's see. Mr. Andrews, so many things to say, so little money to use. Yeah, nope. It's not your internet. It's just the classic thing that happens every now and then is that like I'll go pop over onto the Zoom tab so that I can grab the link or something, and then it'll like kind of freak out and just kick me. So a little frustrating, but it is what it is.
I mean, somebody said recently that they wanted your live reactions to be more like nuanced, so they get what they want now, I guess.
Well, they all like somebody also said they felt like I don't live react, and like they were like, or they said they felt like I wasn't reacting a lot, and they were like, it feels like you read really fast, but you still somehow understand it. And I'm like, okay, so what makes this awkward is that, like, I've done competitive reading before.
This nigga.
Like, I think I talked about this before once, but like, when I was in like 6th and 7th grade, I joined this thing that was called Battle of the Books. And specifically, the whole point is that a bunch of public schools, so like across the US, were competing in a contest where we all got access to the same like 20, 30 books in a list. And we were supposed to, like, everybody on the team was supposed to read some of the books on the list of these like 20, 30 books. And then by the end of the year, you took it like a year-long reading comprehension test, effectively asking your team about every book that was on that list. So yeah, it's kind of expected that I'll read. Yeah, so like that's kind of like one of the funny things is that like when I see people like arguing about reading comp and stuff on like Twitter, like oh, like this person can't read, I'm like, I did actual competitive reading at one point where it was like read all these books so that you can like compete. And the second year I didn't try as hard as the first year, because the first year I read like 15 of the books and answered almost all the questions for my team. And now that I'm an adult, I don't mind carrying. I actually hated the idea of being a carry as a kid. I was like, why would I try hard if your guys aren't gonna like carry your weight? That's lame. So yeah, if you were in public schools between like 2004 and 2007, 2008, and you were getting tested on standardized testing and you didn't get invited to Battle of the Books, congratulations, you're feetless.
You're feetless. You know what? Can I be heard?
Yep. What up, Archbishop Beast?
Since we speaking on what the community, like our community has been asking us specifically for the Church of MHA. Listen, I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. I'm gonna shoot straight like I always do. Some people had issues with the long, vindictive, and like rants. Well, guess what? I've been tired too, nigga, Okay. I was doing this shit because y'all came to me and was waiting for me. Let me tell you how this whole system works. Okay. Let me show you the equation. Leaks come out Thursday. People come to me specifically, gas them up, and they be like, oh, hype up. Oh, East, I can't wait for you to pack these niggas up. I can't wait you do this. Oh, I can't wait for Sunday. Niggas come for me. Oh, East, I can't wait till Sunday. You do this. I get on stream it. East. Y'all come to me expecting this. All right. Like, I wanted to chill last 2 weeks, but y'all was like, oh, I can't wait till East go out and pack these niggas up. Like, bro, I be tired too of ranting. I'm tired. I don't got energy for these niggas. I don't care. Because I don't waste my breath and I don't talk to brick walls. Like, I'm good off that. Like I told y'all last stream, I'm good, my nigga. I ain't got nothing to say to these niggas. And I ain't addressing that part of you know who, no more. You ain't getting my time nor my energy.
Hold on. LL Cool JT. We went to the same middle school. I just went there years after you.
Damn, JT, you might be goddamn. I don't know, JT.
Oh no, but he's right. That school was ghetto as hell. I missed one day and somebody got stabbed.
Yeah, JT, you know, like you got out a good time, man. So like shit go to shit.
How y'all feel about the chapter though?
Man, you already know. I was good off it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was I guess part two is I would have rather thought, you know, I guess him splitting it, part two makes it so that by the end of the next chapter, we would be getting like their new gear set up, so to speak.
Yeah, I think next chapter we're gonna get like a double spread parallel into the battle trial. When All Might first saw them in their fits, they're gonna pull up with their new fits.
Yeah, because we're not gonna say what the plan is, probably. At least I hope we do. I mean, as soon as we do it, it's going south.
If they tell us what the plan is, it's guaranteed gonna fail. I already think it's gonna fail, but if they tell us what it is, it's guaranteed gonna fail.
Absolutely, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, I was good. I can't wait for. You see, I'm gonna say this, but then nigga, you know how since that news came out, how niggas gonna be moving. Brothers getting stabbed.
Quote unquote news.
Yeah, quote unquote. We gonna address that when we get there because it was about 3 different translations. So I don't take that as you will. But yeah, like I'm just excited. I was excited to see more just combos when they're down. Like, like how they were kind of like, all right, I guess we get prepared now. We ready and this, that, and the other. It was nice seeing them niggas like aggressive, like, back up. It was like, we finna fucking maul this nigga apart, tear this nigga apart, dog.
So my thing is that like people were dropping stuff on the TL, of course, and just like mute block. But I thought I saw somebody be like, let's kill all for one.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what? I swear to God, I almost got spoiled on my private Twitter, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I had seen like a glimpse of that last page, and then I was like, "Nah, hell no, you got me fucked up." And I seen the top half, and I see something about like, "Oh, let's kill all for one." I'm like, "What the hell? That shit don't sound right."
And my thing is that I was like, damn, like if niggas talking about killing all for one, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm rightfully so. I mean, shit. Not everybody got an eclipse to save everybody. A drive to save everybody that eclipse all of common logic. Not everybody got that.
I mean, ain't nobody. Wait, what y'all talking about? Ain't nobody say nothing about killing all for one this chapter.
Nah, exactly. It was like a spoiler. It was literally a spoiler. Like I know it was somebody.
It flew across my screen, and I was like, I don't know what y'all talking about, but that's probably not real. Like that. That was actually how I felt about it. I was like, I don't know what y'all talking about, but the odds of them being like, let's kill all for one, just didn't. I was like, something not adding up here. And
I seen the chapter number like low key already, and like I had because like I was scrolling down. You scroll down enough, right? And it was like basically I seen Ultra Cold Man and like 2 other people, and I had seen MHA 33, but I already scrolled down, so it was already sliding on its own. So I like, oh no, you got me fucked up. I scroll back up, but I heard it say let's kill all for one. I like, yeah, I don't know who said that shit, but that shit don't sound on damn no near right. For all of them to be like, we gonna kill this nigga.
They all look serious as hell though in that panel.
I know they like feel it, but they ain't gonna
people
say
trying
like,
to clown that panel, talking about when they think they ate. That panel hit. I don't know what y'all talking about. Of all of them be looking serious.
Yeah, especially since y'all, especially since yeah, I guess it's gonna hit more now since based on that news, air quote.
I want to talk about the chapter real quick though, like
because it's gonna get overshadowed.
Yeah, like, I just want to get the quick conversation about the chapter over with. Niggas keep bringing up other shit.
Oh no. Like, because my thing is that also I love the let me be real quick here. Small detail: Bakugo actually taking out the trash willingly.
Compared to earlier in the series.
Yeah, when they was doing the whole, but like, my thing is that one, Deku and Ida can't be the only ones who need to improve their costumes. Two, I really am curious how this is going to turn out because I feel like I'm curious as to how hard people think they're going to fail off of this because I like the fact that they like gave all their reasons for why they feel like they should actually be able to support Aoyama. I like that what Bakugo is saying here is effectively, I still want to fold this dude. He's just.
I love that.
Honestly,
like I love that.
Honestly, that's a thing too. And it was like people was like, well, everybody class 1A is a high mentality now. They all just follow Deku Lee. And I was like, we told you they was gonna do that. They was gonna use him as a ploy, but still feel some type of weight and have angst about what happened. Bakugo fall in the league, yeah, but guess what? He still said, yo, I went through hell because of you. Let me blow your ass up a little bit.
That's all I wanted. It wasn't sitting well with me last chapter that Bakugo said absolutely nothing about the kidnapping, but he said he mentioned it. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's all I needed was for him to say something. Like, that's it. Like, if he said nothing at all, I'd have been like, damn. So like, water under the bridge for real. Like,
and I don't think I don't think like there was a reason like when Aniki was reading, like you said, their origin, like the origin trio. Well, they're not origin trio, but the starter trio, Trinity. That's what you call it, Trinity. The starting Trinity. Ochiko, Deku,
plus Shoto.
Yeah, East Shoto was there too, but I'm just like, them being there, it's like, okay, them too.
Yeah, like we zeroed in on them for a reason. And, oh, that's right. That's another person. Hold up. I meant to message somebody.
Nah, somehow it was fucking funny. It was like,
who? Tiger Blaster. I love Jiro's expression too, dog. Y'all know me.
Yeah, we know you and your girl.
Right next to Tokoyami too. They all look. I don't know what y'all talking about. This panel is clean.
They ate, bro. They ate. They finna get
especially Coda. Like y'all trying to clown Coda. What if my man's really turn up? Then what?
What if he get prepped up? What he like? What if he like? All right, y'all getting y'all suits, huh? Nah, don't worry about that. I'm heading to the woods, nigga. He come back from the mountain, fucking grizzly bears and lions and shit.
Also, can we address the fact that Coda got like a really, really lame hero outfit?
Oh, bro, that nigga got the worst outfit in the course.
What if he turned up? Then what y'all gonna do if he for real turn up?
Bro, they gonna play like they play Dobby. They gonna downplay that shit.
Like, you need to understand something. I almost retweeted the season 6 PV and said, damn, this bum crying in the PV too.
Chill out. They see the hate for this.
Yeah. My favorite expression is Momo. When I first saw the spoiler, I thought she looked like Shoto for a second to me. I don't know if I could like the expression on her face looked like a face Shoto would make to me.
Nah, I mean, they say that when you a couple, when you spend enough time around each other, you start to look like each other.
Man, you're not wrong. I honestly, Ida and Shoji really had me bugging.
Shoji, even with the mask, I see that. And, Spinner's gonna watch out.
That nigga was woo-wee, boy.
Why Coda forehead look like it's decaying?
Not yet.
No, for real though. Like, look at it.
Nigga was bad, boy.
Like, bro, his forehead looked like it's in the process of decaying.
Y'all gonna cry. Y'all gonna cry when Sato die, right?
I don't know. That every comment was kind of wild.
He was like, "I'm sorry for what I said to."
Yeah, listen, y'all see Aoyama's face, bro, when Deku screamed out to him, like, and he turned his head, bro.
I swear to God, when the animate that shit, oh my God.
Hold up. Thomas came through with the super chat. Deku's new costume is coming. Oh,
he need Gran Torino cape. He need that.
Yeah, bring that back.
You can wash that off. That other shit though, no. You gotta do this.
I don't know, bro. I think it's all stinky.
You can't wash that off, bro.
Yeah, Hatsume can do it if nobody can.
Like, it's all stinky. Like, because Sero is not so the issue with this spread isn't even that, like, or this image isn't that, like, oh, class 1A thinks they're so hard, da-da-da-da. It's that, like, you look at somebody like Mineta and all you can think of is, nigga, sit this one out. Like,
chill, man.
You don't belong in this fight, bro. What are you doing? You're gonna die. Leave off one alone.
Chill. Why y'all moving like that?
You know what I'm gonna laugh at? If flip on his head and them niggas, like, it's like half of the class versus that nigga and the other half basically versus like a high end, because you know he not moving on his own.
Can anyone hear me?
Holy shit.
Booyah.
Welcome, a very important member of the Church of MHA, to his very first stream. One of the biggest supporters around, Nadir Moad, everybody.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh my gosh, I'm starstruck. Honestly, I'm actually starstruck.
Welcome.
Have an OG from the chat, nigga. I'm starstruck. What the fuck?
That's good.
All right. Here's the thing. This chapter is fucking weird.
I love
Explain.
it. He came on here riving. I love it.
It's weird because I got the expressions I wanted through the drawings and the art styles, but the dialogue is throwing me off because I'm like, are we really just gonna drive past all of this?
Like, you mean like how they were like, well, at the end of the day, he's extorted, so what's the point in being mad at him? Or like that we're not getting to hear the plan at all part.
One, we're not getting, like, I've had this feeling with Hori in the past, like he doesn't let you hear the plan, because if he lets you hear the plan, he's just gonna say that's not gonna work. Because that's how he's always had it. He puts up a plan, you think, okay, that's the plan. No, that's not the plan. That's not gonna happen. It's what happened in the war arc. They were like, we're gonna do this. Nope.
Yeah, because
so every time.
It's like, so I'm like, okay, so if we're not hearing this plan, is it gonna work? And if it doesn't, does that mean what?
I mean, I guess the intention could be to make it seem like it's gonna work, but an offset could always happen. They dealing with all for one.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up.
They dealing
like
with
the thing that we're all forgetting, honestly, is that All For One already said that he doesn't care if they find out.
Listen, All For One is copium. He's on copium. I don't give a crap anymore. This man always says, no, he's copium. Look, every time this man's plans fail, he always says, listen, that's not how it is. I'm in control here.
Okay, to a certain degree, I do agree
that about him.
That AFO is on copium sometimes, because like he's like, ooh, like this whole I'm gonna live a long life thing, because we've already had the vestige thing explained. It's that All Might himself said, you know, I can't even like hear his thoughts. I'm just getting like feelings. And then like what All For One said was like, I can like sense that they're merging. You know what that means? His quirk, All For One, is going to live forever in this particular scenario he's imagining. He's still gonna rot in the ground.
It's hilarious because I'm just like, okay, yeah, about Star's plan, let's get her quirk. Oh no, my quirk's died, but I'm still alive, but she's dead. Yeah, no, that's fine.
That nigga was funny with that one, boy. That nigga was looking goofy as shit. It was like,
and then he was like,
right. He died. Fuck, nigga.
And then he's like, call him an idiot, straight up. Say, nice try, idiot.
And then before Ayama was revealed, all for one's like, I've got friends in high places. Ayama gets revealed. All for one's like, it doesn't matter. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, buddy,
Nah, that
are
was
you a
jarring. That
mafia
was
leader or
jarring.
not?
Well,
I'm trying to tell you, he's at the forefront doing all this shit right now, so that you can see the cracks and chinks in his armor. When he went out before,
I've seen it.
When he was in prison,
Dobby sees it. Dobby sees it. Dobby sees it. He's like, are you?
Yeah, Dobby see that shit. Listen, bro. Listen, he just like All Might, bro. You see how All Might got deflated? We see on the cracks in his armor how he was truly flawed. Meanwhile, all for one's in prison, we didn't know how lame this nigga kind of like. He goaded at the same time. He kind of lame, bro. Like,
okay, do you know what
That nigga
All for One is?
lame.
Do you remember Zipman? Like,
yeah.
okay, so one of the things that I loved about Zipman is that the bad guys were a bunch of fucking nerds. And that's what it's boiling down to. All for One is just a giant fucking nerd with a lot of power. Also, welcome to the stream, Almighty Fishmix.
What is going on, family?
Oh my God. I am starstruck. This shit getting crazy up in here.
Yo, Almighty.
What is going on? This chapter,
Oh.
man, Hori's doing his thing as usual.
Go
Yes, sir.
way.
Yes, sir.
Almighty, yo, y'all listen. I'm about to take one for my NYC brother. Man, y'all busting my head right now.
Ain't no way you just said that.
Also, Tyler, you right, because like at this point, AFL is just kind of senile. Like he just old man.
I can't wait till Shiggy flip the script for this nigga. He gonna be like, well, tomorrow I kind of knew that was gonna happen.
He gonna kill him.
But my vestige is still. He be like, what? That nigga gone too. I took care of all y'all niggas. Like tomorrow, no, please.
Because my thing is that the fitting in for All for One as a character is him dying in a very shameful and disgraced way. And our heroes cannot give AFO the ending he deserves, which is why the thing that I want most is for Spinner to be the end of All for One. Like, because think about it. Ever since, because like you mentioned, like Dobby's seeing through the bullshit, but who was the first one to see through the bullshit? Spinner. Because like when he was like, you've elected to guard me, and Spinner was just staring at this nigga like, yeah, guard you, bitch ass nigga. Like
he told him to his face, "You're not my goat. I don't fuck with you."
And then he talked to this nigga. You'll be the one to weave the tail as your name. You'll spin the tail as your name pronounced. He just started looking at the like, damn, you is ugly, bro. Like I really don't like
none of that.
No, I really don't like you. It didn't like you see how he went up. He went up and actually touched Shigaraki and was helping Shigaraki up. That nigga went over there and pat that nigga head.
Spinner was like, why is this nigga so corny? Like that's what it comes down to.
It's like, bro, I'm telling you,
Spinner's 21 too. He young, so I know he's like, yo, this old head ass nigga, like, think he run everything.
Okay.
Daniel, chill.
Dog trying to take him out. Like, never mind. I'm not gonna spoil that part because that's a JoJo reference. But
I want to actually say what I wanted to say in the previous point though, for like if I can. Before you brought up the whole All for One plan that they're gonna make, which is really I don't see any kind of plan at all.
Mm-hmm.
This chapter has a weird tone of this is a very serious situation, but we're gonna roll past it because Ida's like, yeah, no, that's all in the past. What are you talking about? It's all in the past. You barely spent 5 minutes on the fact that Ayama is the traitor. Like in real time, in the manga time, 5 minutes hasn't even gone by.
So one of the things I'm looking at that scene right now, and Ida is like sweating in this thing, so it's like obvious that he's saying it, and I think he's trying to say it so that they can believe it, because this is like not like we talked about All for One being on copium, but now we kind of need to talk about the other side, which is 1A is definitely running on copium here.
They got the battery in their back because of their fucking Toshinori old ass.
Especially Kirishima. I think Kirishima is seriously. He's crying and he's like, "We could get through this, bro. Like we got this." And it's like,
and In fact, the only 1A member I would say that wasn't functioning on copium here was Bakugo, specifically because he's like, I'll acknowledge the strategic value of Aoyama while also admitting that I should fuck this nigga up. What up, Ponzu?
Oh my gosh.
No,
Let's go. What up,
Brother
people?
Ponzu.
The whole thing about Bakugo thing is like it feels weird because like I know it's in character for him to be like this, but I'm like, what happened to the whole like last chapter in the end? The way it ended, Bakugo was like, "Oh, is that how you're thinking, Midori?" And then it just the first scene from him is making a joke
Because they already realized what the plan was. That's the key to it. Because he realized the plan first, and then they said it out loud, so there was no reason to reiterate what happened.
But it's
So
hilarious. This is even a very brilliant plan. It's a very obvious plan.
Nadir, hard is talking. Look at him.
What's up, Ponzu?
How you doing, bro? My man is on his right place. Almighty fish mix too. Damn.
What's good, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm really good. Happy to that you have your rightful place here now. So yeah, I'm happy.
That nigga starstruck too, bro. That's why I was the same way in Ponzu. They popped up on my ass.
I understand where you're coming from, East. Like I get the whole Bakugo thing. It's just like this tone of the whole chapter just feels weirdly seesawish.
I got you. It's jarring from back and forth. I would have thought.
It's a serious situation, but
I would have thought you would have talked about it could, the end in comparison to the beginning and the middle, but you brought up that. That's an interesting side to look at it from.
Man,
the ending with Deku's face, like I know there are boobs in my face, but can we seriously talk?
Yeah, no, like I actually kind of like the fact that because this is one of the things that I kind of talked about. Also, I thought about making this joke on Twitter and decided against it, but like at this point, I'm convinced All Might's a virgin.
No, you're capping.
Nah, I'm 100%.
I don't think so.
Because specifically because this man is saving sexual. And he got to hit 56, constantly pushing everybody away from him. And then was sitting there like, damn, I got nobody to talk to.
Like, you gotta no. You know why I think All Might definitely tapped something? Because when he was training with Deku for those 10 months and Deku was swimming and girls pulled up on the beach, he was lit. Yeah, girls all over him.
You know what? No. That look. All Might is the type of dude that gets the attraction, but doesn't want any of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's not like he's too.
He doesn't want any of it though.
You think that he's saving himself for the right one?
I don't think the nigga was paying. You know, some people are such workaholics that they don't have sex and stuff like that. So you got to think from 18 to like what 55 wasn't there like 50 or 60 at this point?
He's 56 at least. He's around 56
to 55. This nigga was doing nothing but busting work all day long. Like I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Like just flexing going hard. Even if you seen in Vigilantes, that nigga went to sleep for like try to go to sleep for 2 seconds. He like, nah, I'm back out on the street.
Him and David was definitely tapping stuff back in college.
David was tapping shit. David has to. You got it.
David was that friend that caught the windfall from having the famous friend. Like,
bro, come on, you know what happened in college. You know that crime rate was still crazy in America, and then they be chilling, and then like, okay, all my senses or whatever is 10. It's time to go out and fight some shit. And you know that nigga David still chilling at the crib, cause like, Toshinori got this shit.
Nah. David was in the streets with him. He had the V. He had. But
but you know Toshinori gonna move quicker than David can.
Wait. But how does this relate to the last page though? Because Deku not with it. I think he saw this coming with Danger Sense. I think because it blew up and he was unfazed by it.
That's what I'm saying though. Dude was like, because like you see, he's like before, there was all like, oh, boobs, and now he's just like, nigga, I got hero work to do. Get these titties out my face.
Yep, my nigga became a real hero.
Like
a man on a mission.
He's like, that's not. He's like, I don't care about none of this.
He's like, yo, my friend, my boy was the traitor. I'm not with it right now.
It's like, bro, I'm nigga. You're not just somebody. You trying to do some shit, and niggas like in your face, but you trying to do some shit, like really handle some shit. It's kind of like that. It's like, all right, nigga, I got shit to do. I don't got time to really fuck around with you like that.
Look, just because Nana said it would be romantic if they met up in One for All, I don't think she meant it like that, bro.
Me neither. Me neither.
Yeah,
Like,
me
bro,
neither.
all my literally said she was like his mom. Like, please stop. Please stop.
Especially because like
I bring up some dojins for my hero. I'm surprised there's not any, Stitch World, some shit like that. Like,
No comment on that.
I'm a refrain.
that's Tarnish letting us know that he done some research. But
yeah.
But yeah,
Guys.
like, and that's the thing is that I feel like with the way that this chapter is going, though, it feels a lot like almost, I don't want to say blind optimism, but that's kind of what it comes off as from the students.
Yes,
Like
sure.
and that's why I can't tell if we want to go with blind optimism or copium, but either way, it doesn't feel like they're directly addressing the reality of the situation and the position that they're actually in.
And they did it
Yeah,
the other
that's
two,
what
but
it
right
feels
before
like.
they found out about fucking Ayama, they was like, all my, it's like, but y'all got this. Off when you underestimate them, the kids gonna slap.
All Might got slapped with reality. That's why All Might was moving shaky this chapter. He's like, it all depends on him because now he got reminded by Aoyama how serious All for One is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
We got to think now. This is at least 2 big battles, which also they've been saying that like nobody found All for One. So my question is, did like All Might just kind of luck into All for One in that first encounter where he punched his hair off?
Oh, man.
I don't know. I'm waiting for that flashback though.
Because now I need that explanation.
No. Here's the thing. I don't need that flashback because what they do is when they always hype up these legendary fights, they actually give you the fight and it's not as good as you thought it would be.
See,
I feel like there's no way to mess this up. There's All Might, All for One, just throwing hands in a secluded
that's
area.
legendary.
Mess it up. It's very easy to mess it up.
LBG. The thing about that fight is that you have to remember the All for One had a different set of power to conquer when he was fighting All Might for the first time. You know what I mean? So maybe it was more DP ranged. I don't know. Maybe it was more like more a distant fighter with his
Maybe he just wasn't ready for.
Yeah, for sure.
He just wasn't ready for All Might's physical bruteness.
Yeah, no. You have to understand. Every user of 1.0, what they had was one quirk and more strength. He never thought that he could have that with all the powers to control all elements like the Avatar, that some nigga just with some punches would have traumatized him. You know what I mean? Literally, the way that All Might chooses his power is so powerful in the story. That man can change the temperature, the weather, man, just with one punch. You're not ready for that. If you think that you're the Avatar, that you control every element, you're not ready for that. That nigga can change the weather with one punch, man. So yeah, that's why I love Vigilante so much. They show every time when All Might's pulling up, that nigga was something different. That nigga was literally a god in his verse, literally, man. But yeah, like I told you, what we're gonna see later is like, for me, that fight is gonna be a fight where All for One tried to run, tried to use everything that he could, and even use his his smarts to get to hurt All for One, All Might like this. All for One hurt because he used his smart. That's what he said. You just took one. You took one time your eyes out of him. You get you had a puncture, your lungs out, your stomach, everything went like he had like a hole in his chest.
Oh.
And that's because he took his eyes off him because that guy was using like he used his silver tongue. So yeah, don't forget that.
Also, you know what I just realized?
What?
The last thing All for One saw was All Might's fist coming towards his face. That's literally the last thing this man has saw.
Oh God!
You know damn well it was a Detroit smash, boy.
Like
Yes.
the last thing this
Detroit
man
smash.
saw was a big old fist, and then all of a sudden his eyeballs were gone.
Yo, bro. Man,
He probably thought that was
OG
the end.
I mean, you seen the way he was leaking after that shit, nigga.
He
Okay.
probably thought that was the end.
All Might successfully did a trepanation on him because the fact that All For One doesn't have ears either means that basically all of this was punched off. His brain should not have even actually have been in his body.
I don't know how he survived it. I'm telling you, till today, I don't know how he survived it. That's fine.
You see, that's why All Might was like, I really thought I killed you, nigga. Wow. Astounding. You made it.
Yeah,
Like,
Ujiko would go. Because you know he fixed him up.
which now I want to cycle back to the chapter specifically. Do y'all think these niggas actually making it to HQ?
They could get right. You know what? That'd be funny as hell. Them niggas don't even make
Damn,
it.
that's a good point.
I didn't even think about that. I'll laugh my ass off.
Like, I cannot fathom them actually making it to the HQ. Because if All For One, because like obviously All For One has been overselling his own competency, which part of that is just he's been on top so long. Oh yeah, I've been running stuff. I've had all kind of people, yeah, I'm that nigga. But like, bro, you lost to All Might at least twice. You lost specifically with a variety of quirks at your disposal. And consistently, one of your biggest issues has been your ego getting in the way. Why did he want to punch All Might with a giant ass fist? Because he wanted All Might to have the same last sight that he did.
Damn, that nigga so petty.
That's the thing about it. That's
Like, think about it. He could have just air blasted him to death. If he opted,
he had to make it personal.
like,
it was personal, nigga. He
That's
took
what
his eyes off.
Well, no. You know when I realized that All For One was a clown? It was really during the Cassie fight. Like, and I don't mean when she tricked him in the Vestige world. I mean when he said, I stopped reading because I knew how it was gonna end. Once I read that, I was like, yeah, you ignorant, bro. And then the page right after that was Cassie in the Vestige world ready to mix his ass up. He think he know everything. He think he knows how the story's gonna end, and it's not gonna go the way he thinks at all.
I remember there was a time when I thought this nigga, even when he lose, he still win. Nah, nigga. Nah, nigga. You made some big critical errors in your system.
Multiple times.
Yeah, don't worry. He gonna Shuguichi, spinner. He gonna spin that tail. Spin that tail back on your ass. He gonna spin the block on you, nigga.
That life support getting clipped.
Because that's my thing. That's what I think Submitter is just gonna do. Like when I say that I could see All For One dying disgrace, I mean literally I could see Spinner being like, I'll protect you, taking him in a room, cutting his life support, and just watching him slowly suffocate and die.
Shigaraki wants some final words for that nigga.
You know what All For One's reminding me of right now, though?
What's up?
He's reminding me of like 80s comic book villain from DC and Marvel. That's what he's reminding me of right now.
Yeah,
which makes sense because he's an old
that's
head.
what he's supposed. That's what he's supposed to be.
He's big on
becoming
that.
what he wants to be. Some cheesy ass monologuing ass.
Oh yeah, no.
You know what?
You gotta think. AFO read a comic and decided, like, you know how like
Marvel personality.
if you read Ayashimon, the main character is like, oh yeah, I've been reading Shonen Jump my whole life. I want to live the life of a shonen protagonist. He did that, except AFO doesn't have the excuse of being a 15-year-old delinquent with little education.
Dude's 120. Like,
bro, he stopped. Bro, he literally stopped reading. Like he stopped reading in the vault. He stopped reading in the volume where the Demon King was on top, and Yoichi told him, "Nigga, you should have kept reading because he came back." He wants to freeze the world in that volume where the Demon King was ruling. Like
I forgot what that's called, but it's like when when children is like they it's like niggas get mentally stunted. I don't know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. When people get their growth stunted mentally at a very young age, so they don't have to was it compromise and grow up and learn the hardships of the world? What's it called when they get their growth done at the early age? Their mental growth.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
I know what
right
you
now.
mean now.
Yeah, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's just escaping me right now.
Yeah.
Is it called dad's belt? Because apparently All For One never got a dad's belt.
Okay, so this is one of the things that I find interesting, though, is that All For One sees himself as like the evil demon lord.
Yes.
And if you think about it, I feel like the reason why he sees himself as a demon, because like if you think about it, he could have easily painted himself as a hero. Like, oh, I stabilize things, I fix families, I do this, I do that. I'm just trying to set what's right. He could have easily saw himself as this, like, had a delusional like sense of self. Instead, he's like, no, I'm a big bad, which is also funny because I will say that AFO is what a lot of people said they wanted. It's just that when you see AFO compared to like all the other villains, you're like, being evil for the sake of evil when surrounded by a cast of villains who all have legitimate motives makes you realize how absurd it is for villains just to be evil for the sake of being evil.
Yeah, you look kind of goofy.
Like he's ignorant. He's ignorant.
You know why he ignorant?
Because he don't read.
Exactly.
Wait, yo, I swear to God, like, I'm not even exaggerating. That whole page changed my whole perspective of his character. I thought he was, before that page, I thought he was the type to be like, I read so that I wouldn't make the mistakes of the villain. Like, I thought he was on that type of wave. He said he just stopped reading altogether. Like, I, bro, heard you.
No. I'll vested it wise. I'll said, Alfeo was literally on copium, admitting that the Demon King would lose. If I don't finish it, he wins in my head canon.
So this is one of the things that makes me suspect and question if the All For One quirk is what we're supposed to be focused on more than the person, because there are certain things that humanize All For One a lot. Like, as much as we joke about it, him being an emotionally stunted man-child that's like, I want to be the comic villain. Yeah, that's my goal. I'm a mojito stand. Or like,
he's Goro.
Like, oh, I'm Eisen. Yeah, there we go. That's even better. Like, oh, I'm gonna be Eisen. That's what I'm gonna be when I grow up. Like,
that's funny because
that's pretty humanizing. His attachment to his brother, fairly humanizing. The way he talked about Shigaraki as like a successor and passing someone on, fairly humanizing. When he talks about how he has no control over his compulsion and basically saying he's a klepto when it comes to quirks, the fact that he keeps talking about living forever, even though objectively, based on all the explanations we've gotten, his mind is not actually connected to the vestige world. They just have a decent understanding of each other because that's how it runs. And you remember, like, we talked about how it felt more like Shigaraki or Vestige for One was giving All For One orders more than it felt like they were actually communicating back then. Because he was like, make him ready. It kind of feels like he's lost himself to his power a long time ago. And he's pretending that he's the one in control. Because I think because you think back to his speech in Vigilantes, when it's like, oh, a person who uses their quirk like to cause harm to others or goes on rampages, or a person whose quirk controls them usually leads to a person being a villain.
Yes.
But it's supposed to just be like an impulse or whatever. Like, it should just be a part of who I am. It's like he caved in and lost to his quirk. Because you could argue there, like, especially for the time period that AFO grew up in, that it makes complete sense for him to have like tried to take the reins, because dog, if I got the ability to take away quirks and I got to worry about randoms shooting me every day now, I'm gonna just start yeeting quirks.
I'm just start marketing. I'm gonna be a god. I'm gonna start marketing.
Like, I'm not gonna just let y'all run around and do shit around me. Nah.
So Cameron Bailey said, I like to ask something. What do you guys think was the reaction to the people when All For One was revealed for the first time? I mean, everyone had to have been thinking the boogeyman is real.
No, not really, because a lot of people have never even heard of All For One.
I think they should preface it by saying back in the day or currently with like Camino.
Yeah,
There's a
No,
difference.
I mean, no.
Never showed
I
up
mean,
back in the day, though.
even if he's talking about right now, we saw that with Overhaul. He was like, "Oh, everybody was shocked, like seeing to see him."
Yeah. So
himself.
is it?
No,
So
okay,
is it Camino or is it in the back in the day type beat? Which
Here's
one?
the thing about Overhaul. Overhaul is talking from a gang perspective. He grew up in the gang perspective, so of course he's gonna know about the boogeyman. But I'm talking about the civilian perspective. Not many people would know about All For One.
Because he was.
I mean, he just said the people. He didn't say specifically civilians. He just said the people when he was revealed.
I guess that goes hand in hand. People at large, because if you in that underground ring, you know, but if not, you know.
It was.
I mean, Overhaul said that people didn't think he was real. So.
He's no. But I just watched the episode today. He specifically says people in his generation were skeptical, which makes sense when, you know, like he got his ass beat 5 years ago, which puts it back to like when Overhaul was 18 and All Might was already messing up his stuff for at least 10 years. So it makes sense that as he was like losing power, people like Overhaul was like would like believe less. Oh, civilian. Yep. Okay. So Cameron specified civilians. So because Deku mentioned that there were rumors on the web, which as far as I'm concerned, I think that's proof Deku got access to the dark web as a child.
Yeah, no, Deku's a dark web kid. He's a dark web kid. No,
definitely.
Like, which means he also probably stumbled on a couple videos of people getting decapitated or whatever. But that's another
How
story.
to get the quirk.
So I think Siri just tried to help him out.
Siri,
what's All For One's deal?
Siri, why does All For One have a nutsack face? The theory is, I can't even imagine the fanfics they got of those niggas in that universe.
No, they've done a lot of AFO erasure in the history books, from what I understand.
Yeah,
they purposely don't bring him up.
AFO is not in the history books. He got what we call it, censored.
Yeah, because basically they don't want to be like, we don't want people to know that there was a dude that could just walk around and go like Quirkus Deletus. Like,
basically, we don't want you to know that there's a god of the universe, which is All Might. Then there's also like a demon lord, which is All For One.
They would have never done that because the fact that they grew up, the world back in the day, in the start of the quirks in Japan, grew up with that man, and the man was so strong that he had influence around the world, you know, because he get the good influence back in the day. So just telling them that the greatest evil in the world was born in Japan in the history books, that doesn't sound really good to for children, because you have to learn this at school. So yeah, no, All For One was erased, like a lot of truths and things. He was censored from the history books.
So you saying you gonna erase me from the history books from Bonzo?
What?
You gonna do that to me?
He might be erased from the history.
Wait,
he might be erased from the history books, but I've got a feeling that this manga is gonna go down in the history books, huh?
Volk is here.
No way.
Hey guys, how you been?
Oh man.
Good.
Good.
Look who. Ooh, damn. I'm starstruck. Y'all trying to give me a heart attack in this bitch, huh?
Yeah.
Bring one more person in here. See, bring one person in here. My ass ain't gonna be the only thing that's shaking.
Whoa.
Bring that ass over here.
I'm right now in a barbecue. I'm now in a barbecue, but
Hey guys. I've been working my ass off on different projects and stuff. It's Christmas. I finished everything I needed to do a couple of days ago, and just in time for the end of the year. This is the last chapter of 2021, and it's also timely because we just got word last night, of course, that Horikoshi is intending to end. Keyword intending.
Yeah.
Within a year.
Yeah.
All right. So I assume you guys have just talked about the chapter itself and like what All For One's like. I got into this discussion here. You were talking about All For One and like how people have been reacting to him, because it's like he's kind of like this big anomaly people were never told about.
Yeah, like just straight up, he's removed from the history book, so it's kind of like, what is society's overall reaction off one? Because it's obvious other countries see it, because we didn't get, like, when we had like the UN chapter, when we were seeing stuff around the world, we didn't get anybody being like, oh my God, All For One exists. Like,
even if anything, the Interpol already running freaking investigations talking about, he got connects everywhere. Interpol was telling us he got connects in other countries, in various other countries.
If this were Oda, he'd do like a full like 5 chapters just detailing like how All For One and the government kind of like simultaneously, not intentionally, but simultaneously work to keep him under wraps, because you have All For One who wants to remain a secret so he can just keep doing his thing. Then you have the government who don't want people to find out that he exists. So again, it's that theme of joint corruption that you saw with Nagant, where the people in charge aren't really super different from the villains they try to persecute. They're just in a different position. They're just in a position of power.
Yes.
So,
which, speaking of, can we all agree it was kind of hilarious that they ever thought, like, on one hand, it's kind of hilarious to me to think that she would ever be able to take AFO out. But on the other hand, he didn't have hyper regeneration his whole life. So I guess like if she had just been able to catch him lacking once from like half a mile away, it would have been all done.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, like, she rushed ahead, and so it was a case of like, all right, well, everything Japan has done has failed. Let's try our best countermeasure. And it kind of worked, but at the same time, you lost Star and Stripes. So, from their perspective, it's like, it's not even worth it. So that's why they called off all the heroes coming in to send aid. I don't think that's going to stick. I think the heroes are going to say F that, and are just going to go anyways. But
I believe some 1 or 2 might, because it's this ain't really a spoiler, but there's a character named Bethlehem or whatever, and the world hero mission, right?
Yeah.
And he was in that volume extras for volume 31, and we vividly confirmed basically all the volume extras in 31 pop up, and later on in the story it's been literally confirmed from what we've seen. Little sketches of panels, like literally, and foreshadowing like Hatsume, the Shoto limit thing, Bakugo saying, you smiling yet, Ochiko's speech, you leaving Deku through the stuff. The appeal advisor with the mask on his face name is Disgustius.
I guess so.
Guys,
I got
what's up, Ponzi?
I didn't watch that movie.
You got the volume.
Yep. Looking for the Bethlehem part now.
Okay, Ponzi, what are you saying?
I didn't watch that movie. I can watch it because it's not.
I didn't watch it either. I just know it's a character name that, and I was trying to confirm that he was there.
I saw it 2.5 times. It's very entertaining. In fact,
how did you see it half a time?
The best
because
movie.
I snuck in halfway through. Like,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's go.
I was watching Eternals, and it was like after that, I was like, well, that was boring, and it just milled about, and I was gonna head home. And I saw it playing. I'm like, oh, might as well tag in for the last hour, and that last hour is pretty heat. So yeah, it was a boring time of the movies turned into a fun time of the movies.
Yeah, no, Eternals honestly, like, it gets more hate than it actually deserves.
Yeah, it does.
It's all right. I like it better.
It's not the greatest movie in the world. No, it's not the greatest movie.
No.
It's a good movie, but but people are not okay with okay.
Exactly. I think the director, I don't want to screw up her name. She deserves another chance because she had a lot of cool ideas.
Listen, but you know what? If we just talk about okay being okay and somebody deserving a second chance, I'm gonna tell you, this thing right here really wasn't just okay. It was phenomenal, and they don't need a second chance. Hey, yo, shouts out to that boy John Watts, boy. No Way Home, go! Oh my God!
Nah, No Way Home was not that
I
good.
can't wait to
was-
see
No
that
Way
shit
Home was
tomorrow.
not that
telling
good.
Anarchy last
No Way
night,
Home
you've
was
got to
not that
watch
good,
it
bro.
because it's like,
Dude,
Wait, Ponzu, what did you just say?
No Way Home is not that good. It's good, but not that good.
I disagree.
Ah.
I disagree.
Hey, look.
This man.
Look, I promised
One at a
Alves there
time,
would be
guys.
no Way Home stuff. Y'all can't have this debate
Yeah, no,
here.
I disagree. I would just
Listen.
say I disagree. That's it.
I'm just gonna say
saying
this.
that it's the best
I'm gonna
Spider-Man
say
movie
this.
ever.
No.
Yeah.
Wait. I think we should just leave it at that. I disagree.
All I'm gonna say is this. I just want to say this one thing. I've seen it 3 times.
oh, I'm seeing it
Already?
again. I'm
I
seeing
saw
it a
it
second
Thursday.
time on Tuesday. I need to reevaluate it.
No, like like my cinema next to my house, it wasn't really sold out, so I managed to like get tickets on Thursday. I'm like, all right, cool. Then I'm like, yo, this shit's dope. So I went right after work. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch it again on Friday, and then I watched it yesterday again.
Right.
Look,
I'm gonna just say this though.
I've heard people.
Is it a flex or what is the purpose of this scene, man?
I've heard of people who go to Star Wars movies like 50 times over. So until you reach the double digits, you won't see any judgment from me.
Hey, Your Honor.
No,
All right,
I don't
let
go
me-
to movies more than once.
So I'm trying to
Well,
think of a movie the one movie that I've seen more than once in theaters is Get Out. I've seen that. I saw that 3 times in theaters.
Oh, man,
I'm trying to think
that
of what I
was
saw more than
good.
once. And no, we're not gonna spoil it.
We got
Hold on,
a
yeah,
super
yeah.
chat. We got a super chat.
So Joshua Bevel comes through, which I don't think you've done a super chat before. So welcome aboard. Hey, Church of MHA. I was wondering if you could address the criticisms of MHA being rushed. I've not understood it. It just seems like Hori just knows where he wants to go. Also, Muzan versus AFO, who's the deadlier villain?
I can I go first on this?
Yes.
You got the floor, Chief.
Okay. As far as pacing goes, I have been with the pacing. I've understood it's fast. I do understand the criticism, actually, because it does feel like there was another 50, 100 chapters he could have squeezed out of this if he really wanted to. But he just seems to be somewhat burned out. He was originally going to do 30 volumes, and at this point, we're going to be well past that, 40, maybe 45 volumes. Again, the key thing here is that he intends to end it within a year. I am going to tell you guys right now, mangaka can never, ever accomplish this. They try. Oh boy, they try. Oda has been trying to end One Piece in 5 years for 10 years.
Glad you said his name, cause I was damn sure about to drop his name.
Well,
Also going to just point out that One Piece was originally going to be a 5-year-long manga.
Exactly.
So-
So I think the earliest end date is sometime in 2023. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if that's like the first few months of 2023, middle of 2023. That's the earliest end date. And he says if everything goes as planned and things change and we're working week to week to week. But as far as pacing goes, that's not entirely attached to length. It's how you adjust the flow of the story to how long your story is, essentially. And I think there has been a noticeable shortening for sure. So that's kind of what's been throwing people off. For me personally, I'd rather he just like, it's worse when an artist suffers burnout and you can tell it affects their work. I don't think he's quite at that point, and he's just very wary of reaching it. And I'd rather he end again with everything more or less meeting in the middle and not have to stretch things out or take a significant hiatus. Just end it on your own terms, move on to your next project. I'll be happy to reread. And we've still got My Hero Academia Vigilantes, which I think fleshes out an extra 100 chapters that people might want. Like there's an extra 100.
Nah, Volk.
Hold on. Wait.
Whoa. I'm
Wait.
not saying Vigilantes is as good as the main manga. I have my significant issues with Vigilantes, but it's there nonetheless. So I guess that's his thought process.
So real quick, because this builds off the previous super chat, we can still continue this conversation. Obviously, I just want to get this second super chat in there because it kind of ties into the discussion anyway. So Andrew came through with a Mutant Arc, MVA2, All Might backstory, freeing PLF villains, Deku at 45% up one for all. How are they going to beat the villains in a logical way? Allows Horia shown to fit stuff within just a couple pages. So one of my biggest issues with this particular scenario is that I could see if because of the whole if you're 100 yen lighter burns out thing, if All For One is going to try to betray Shigaraki and just steal all his quirks again or something like that because he's decided his body can't recover or something like that, that's pretty much the only way I could kind of see it working, where we could cut Shigaraki out of this situation, make it less of a big deal. Because I'm going to be honest, I did mention it in My History Academia 1 that due to the connections to Shoko Asahara that both AFO and Shigaraki have, that Shigaraki could be permanently imprisoned, even mentally. So I don't want to pretend like that isn't potentially on the table. But, and I mentioned earlier, because you mentioned the mutant arc, and I even said that like stuff like that, the mutant arc specifically would go very much against one of, Japan has a lot of issues with xenophobia. I'm just going to say it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So
oh, yeah.
Like, and because they have a lot of those issues, the idea of him getting to do an arc that very heavily calls out discrimination, because keep in mind, MBA kind of did the same thing with how you handle criminality, and very much showing that like society can create its own problems and perpetuate them. So, and the mindset that people have, and that's why Hawk's reaching out to Twice, even if he fucked up and like put Twice in such a position that it was like way too late, was technically the right call. Because you should be trying to reform villains, not just condemn them and throw them to the side. Now, Deku only being at 45% of All For One for All, we have FO 100, we have a multitude of solutions. I think that what we can do, if we really want to argue through this angle, is that ultimately, All For One is squatting in a cave on life support. And Dabi is strong, but his power has a massive backside to it. Toga, Ochako can 1v1 her. It is not unreasonable for that to happen. So some of these villains that are at the top, as far as like strike team, raid team versus raid team goes, in the condensed setting, it would be fine. It's worth noting though that like when you look at Shigaraki's design and then you look, especially during the war arc, and you look at 9 and you remember that, you know, Hori straight up said that like a lot of the stuff that's used in the 9 fight was originally going to be used in the manga. It kind of seems to indicate that like we already kind of hit a point that Horikoshi could have ended the series with if he wanted to. Like they could have made the raid on, you know, the mansion work out, and then that would have been the end of everything. And we would have just had like one big battle with Shigaraki and all that other stuff. So there's stuff that I don't like about that ending so early, because I did want Horikoshi to get to do his Shoji arc. But I think the fact that he mentioned I want to do a Shoji arc and not I'm just going to do one suggests that he's been getting a lot of pushback on that stuff.
Yeah, like he said, like, oh, I want finally that to be 5 volumes, and guess what? We're kind of approaching the point where it's going to be 5 volumes already. Also, as far as Deku percentage goes, I'm going to say this right now. The reason Horikoshi just put that tag in there, like a little while ago, is like, oh, Deku's body is a lot more durable now, is because he is preparing for a situation where he can unleash 100% with not a whole lot of kickback. Like, I'm sure he gets some bruises, but I think he's approaching the point where his bones aren't going to break anymore if he goes 100%.
Yeah. And because my other thing with this is that there's almost no reason for Deku's percentage to not have gone up some more. Mm-hmm. Like the last time we got a hard number was around, I want to say it was actually during the war.
It was 60 chapters ago, 45%.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was during the war. It was like, yeah, I can go up to 45. And then we have another month of him doing stuff, plus his body acclimating to the fact that he's capable of replicating 100% without the blowback. And when you combine that with Fajin with the ability to, I don't know, flex his arms, crank out full 100%, and then just shoot up to 100 for real with One for All, that there's some dangerous multipliers that allow him to like get past that, where he could break his arm. Even if he broke his arm once or twice, like cause some damage, he would still be able to fight.
And if you've got a plasma cannon as like his last quirk, because it's probably something like that, it's projectile quirk. One for all is just like this massive steroid quirk, basically. So that probably melts metal and shit. That's probably like super powerful.
Part of me really wants it to be like a laser sword, like Zero from Mega Man for some reason. But
Yes.
Yo, guys, can I jump
That
in
would
on
be cool.
oh yeah.
Yeah, all right. So I'm just gonna like start off from like the whole. I'm not even gonna talk about the characters. I'm talking about the way Hori plots things. So in the very beginning of the manga and everything, you kind of felt where the story was going. You knew where the story beats the tournament arc. Tournament arc leads into they get their licenses. You start meeting villains in the streets. It goes into this thing, and then it goes into why they need their licenses more, because now the villains are ranking up, and the freshman year who weren't supposed to get licenses, they got them. Then all of a sudden, something weird happens where like Hori is undercutting things. Like he says he's at like the way with Midoriya is 45%, and he's constantly breaking, and they constantly give this hint of his bones are gonna break, his bones are gonna break, his bones are gonna break. He's gonna hurt himself. And then it doesn't happen. What he could have possibly done beforehand was hint at, okay, if you get stronger, there's a possible chance it might not even happen. Like damage might not hurt you as much as beforehand. But because he didn't do that, and he comes in with the, oh yeah, by the way, after the war arc, yeah, you don't have to worry about your arms. It kind of feels jarring because we're constantly pushed into the head that Midoriya's bones are going to break. So once it doesn't happen, we don't have that mentality that, okay, there's a possible chance it might not break because he's getting stronger. Because what we're being told narratively is that even from Deku's point of view when he was fighting Shiggy, that if it happens, and this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, you kind of feel this weird undercut. So when it doesn't happen, you can't go back and read the story and then get that same feeling. Like if I try to go back and read the war arc, I can't get the same feeling like, oh, well, I guess he doesn't have to worry about breaking his arms because he doesn't.
So
Wait. Can I comment on the arm breaking thing? Wow.
This is an example of undercut.
Yeah, but so the last time Deku broke his arms before the war was the muscular fight, right? Like, I'm not counting Overhaul because he got like healed.
No, he got rewinded. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah,
I'm not counting that. So the last time for him that his arms real deal broke was the muscular fight, and like the explanation as to why his arms actually didn't get fully messed up, I was actually really fine with that explanation, because I feel like the whole second act of the story basically was him getting ready for that battle with Shigaraki, where he was rewarded for actually getting stronger. Like they said, like the way his arms broke weren't the same. And if you reread in the manga and you look at like the panels of his arms broken, they don't look the same way they do in the Shigaraki fight. They look differently. They actually were broken a different way.
Sorry. But what I mean is like, the explanation that Hori came up with, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that explanation. But it, in a way, it feels like
it just throws you off a little.
It throws you off
because
there's no explanation beforehand of there possibly chances of this happening.
So I think that this is kind of an issue of, and because like Ndot mentions like, like, okay, so like Tobufu was saying, like some people would decided that Deku would have less blowback if his percentage increased. So there's one thing that kind of alludes to it, but kind of what Ndot says in the chat is accurate, where like there's certain things that in like internal consistencies. And this is why I've always said one of Horikoshi's biggest weaknesses as a writer is he expects you to know all the things he knows about, and he expects you to keep track of all the details, like to the finest degree that it's a little unreasonable to actually expect your readers to keep track of all these details.
pretty much.
But because Horikoshi is, while yes, there's physics breaking within the story because of quirks and stuff like that, he's very adherent to physics. So like, for example, I always love to bring this example up because specifically his final exams, Deku struggles at 5% to deal with the blowback from Bakugo's gauntlet, which means that blowback is a consistent real thing. You do deal with it. So in turn, when he talks about how like, I didn't say I couldn't use my arms at 5%, I can still punch. It's like, yeah, like I can't use 100% and my arms are in jeopardy if I overclock them. But the more durable and stronger I become, the more stuff that I would be able to deal with, the higher burdens my body's going to be able to bear. So the stress load is going to be decreased. And that's why instead of it being about just complete and utter breaking, now it turns into like a standard health concern of deterioration, which if, I don't know how long you've been following Nadir, but when the last act begins dropped specifically, there was a Twitter post that I made that it had some people mad at me. But specifically, I pointed out that the way that Deku's hand was structured when he was standing there on top of the gargoyle was set up like somebody who has issues with completely closing and controlling their hands, like they have like an arthritis patient, like they've had consistent joint damage. And then a couple chapters later, we got the explanation of how, because of all the damage, he's got these consistent and permanent braces on, much like people who deal with arthritis end up having to wear support items for the rest of their lives. For certain
Actually, I'm going to agree with you on that point. Hold on. I'm going to agree with because I'm going to piggyback on that because the arthritis issue actually happens after the gentle arc, after the gentle fight.
Yep.
When he's saying bye to Eri and his finger gets jointed. It happens as well. So yeah, like no, I see these things. I know. Like what I mean is, I'm not. It's like he doesn't put these acknowledgments in there. He shows a lot. Like remember when one of my criticisms was he shows so much it affects his writing.
Yeah,
that's what I said before.
And that's why I said like he expects you to keep track of a little too much. Where even if you do keep track of it, you're kind of sitting there like, damn, I have to like really be paying attention when I read this manga, huh?
Nose pressed to the book. Also, I think it mixes in with the general issue of power scaling because remember originally Deku was going to be quirk with him. He's going to be kind of Batman. He's going to use all these gadgets. Then his editor was like, "That's a great idea, except it sucks. You're going to have to give him a superpower because you are going to screw yourself over because you're going to put him in situations where you're going to have to." Figure out all these solutions constantly, and I think it's somewhat of the same thing here. It's still a lingering issue for him, where it's like, how do I handle the power increasing? But with all the stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm having a hard time explaining it, but
well, because like deciding what percentage Deku can access at certain junctures is also an issue automatically.
Yep.
Like overhaul keeping up with 20% Deku, but also being like, well, you're faster than Mirio or Night Eye seems cool, but then it's like, okay, but then how fast? Like, how do you scale this? How do you scale that? Like, for example, when Endeavor breaks the sound barrier in his sneakers, because when you read it, he's like, wow, he was off before we heard the boom. That's him like putting a hard, yes, Endeavor is hypersonic in the manga. But then when you look at the data books, it creates weird questions because of what Endeavor's speed was in like the first one compared to
this is why you just don't use numbers. Like I always say, stay away from numbers. Don't put any hard line. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. Deku at 5%. That's not actually 5%. I'm going to tell you that right now. Like just the way it's shown in the manga, like Deku at 45%, that's way more than 9 times what he started with. I'll be honest. And it's going to just
like, what your point is right there. What your point is right there is like when remember when the overhaul arc was coming out, and Deku when he was fighting Kachan, it was like 8%. And then fighting overhaul, it jumped to 20, and you thought, all right, this is it. This is the moment. But all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, no, this isn't really it. You need 100%. It undercuts 20%. It undercuts that 20% moment because you're like, well, what's the big deal? It should have been a leap moment because fighting Kachan at 8% and then like, all right, let's show him at 20%, but it's more like, but who cares? Because overhaul can overpower it because whatever.
So like the 20% cowling thing, I think the issue there is that Deku should have landed at least a couple hits on overhaul.
He should have.
And that would have made it work, because I do agree that like when 20% dropped, I was like, oh yeah, whoa, this is crazy. But then it was like, but what I also like, this is where it gets weird, because it's like, because also though Deku was under practice with shoot style. He'd only been using it for, by that time in the story, about 2 months, 3 months. Because he starts using shoot style in late August.
No, but that's the weird thing with it. Like, because I constantly thought, because overall said it and acknowledged that Midori didn't know how to use a technique fighting, I thought, okay, Hori's just gonna acknowledge it and then put it to use. But he never actually does.
Yeah, because we don't get to see that 20% again until we start seeing Air Force stuff, which I think is also a consequence of overhaul arc transitions into remedial course arc. And then we get Culture Festival, which is just about like learning how to burst limit. And then
but here's the thing about, like,
Pro Hero,
where the pacing comes in. When you think 20% comes in and you think, okay, overhaul is acknowledging that Midori can't fight properly using that strength and speed, cool, maybe he'll learn. But we don't get that learning because he actually hasn't learned how to actually fight at all. He doesn't actually, but we undercut that with, oh, by the way, now he has Air Force. Cool. Learn how to fight.
Yeah, because
he did though. He said his movements were better because he danced with Mina.
No. His movements in the air were better.
Bodily control is important. His actual martial art style developing though, it's kind of, I personally wouldn't have minded Deku developing his martial arts style more. This kind of goes into how Horikoshi does training arcs, but a lot of them aren't really training arcs. And I think this kind of comes down to partially a template that's been established by a lot of shonen, because usually you very reliably will get a training arc where it's seriously focused, but like Provisional License Exam is lauded as a training arc by a lot of people, but it isn't actually a training arc.
It's hero work training arc.
It's a bunch of battles and then like dealing with situations, but it's not actually about his training. It's about like putting his training to the test, because Horikoshi, like Oda typically, and some doesn't do real true blue, I'm going to spend 20 chapters on developing my character and their fighting style. The first time One Piece actually did that was in Wano. So,
it was in the midst of the battle, like one of
with
the most important battle.
It wouldn't be a big issue with me if we never acknowledged it, but we got to acknowledge twice in back-to-back arcs with Kachan saying, okay, he's not really good at fighting, but he's good at quick thinking, whatever, cool. And then the second arc with Overhaul acknowledges it, and then we don't really do anything with it.
Yeah, because we cut away and like start spinning it. And this is part of why, like, I know a lot of people used to say during the Rise of the Villain Saga, they don't feel like Deku got to be the main character as much. And I agree with that, because that saga wasn't necessarily about the good guys as much.
It was about the bad guys.
Yeah, it was a very split saga, so it took away from Deku, and we kept getting these like improvements. And for me, it never bothered me, because I'm gonna be honest, I like the fact that Horikoshi trusts us. Yeah, because like I often feel like certain mangaka over-explain. Like, for example, I got to look around to make sure it's safe. I love Hunter x Hunter.
No, Hunter x Hunter is really good.
Get out, burn him alive. However, sometimes Tagashi is more wordy than he actually needs to be.
Quite a bit.
Well, Togashi is always in pain, and he's very neurotic. So whenever that happens, I'm just like, I understand.
Like, I love Succession arc. Succession arc was great,
I need
But-
a balance of Togashi and Hori. I need a balance of both of them.
but like that because like every now and then that page where the dude is explaining his nin ability, which is predator, some of that shit is just excessive. Like, and like even if you read the official stuff, some people are like, oh well, like it's 500 words versus 360 words, and I'm like, that's true, but dog, some of this stuff I feel is very implied by the nature of this mission. Like, if I optimize my strategy by making sure that my opponent is unaware of me as possible, blah 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 blah. I'm like, bro, just say if I do this mission in a proper stealth fashion, my nin ability will be stronger, and that already suggests to me that you're gonna do your best to go undetected, be attentive, and like focused.
Togashi's most like at his worst sounds like a legal document with like the amount of repetition that he's doing and like how much he just constantly repeats. If you ever read like those legal documents, they like mention the same name over again. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like, dang, you could have been way more descriptive about this, but I understand. You gotta do you.
That's why, like,
you're
I
Squid.
think my main point when it comes to the whole percentages, and I know it sounds like a reiterating point, like what I'm saying, but the thing is, like, you know how Hori utilizes Bakugo's one quirk, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
There's so many ways with this one quirk. Why does Hori just percentage increase Midoriya without letting him utilize each percentage? Because
he doesn't get enough fights.
So much with just 5%. You could do so much with just 5%. You could do so much with just the 8% that he was fighting with Kachan, because he was still giving Kachan some problems with just 8%. So it just feels like the percentages don't matter, because all it is, like, I'm just gonna swing harder.
That's actually, I think that's part of why I liked the development, because it's funny because I've seen some people like, oh, the reason Horikoshi gave him more quirks is because he couldn't be creative with his fights, and I'm like, nah, dude, it's because he realized that, like, just like you said, Nadir, the percentages was just him hitting harder. That's it.
Yeah, no, Black Whip, it did so much to his movement. It did so freaking much.
He was gonna move faster and hit harder, but that was it. And there was
Okay,
maybe use air blows blast, but that's it. That's all upping the percentages would have done.
For a
And
little
so-
while there, Deku had better swinging scenes than MCU Spider-Man.
Yep.
Man,
My guy, that was
For a while. No Way Home changes that.
Oh my god, bro.
Wait, no way home. Spoilers, y'all. Chill. Y'all gonna kill. Y'all gonna give Alves a heart attack. Also, real quick, I gotta hit up Thomas' super chat. As someone who loves Hunter x Hunter, this is spot on. Hunter x Hunter might as well be a light novel, and that's not meant as a criticism. Moreover, just like the manga medium is supposed to be more centered around visuals, and sometimes, my nigga, you just be writing, and that's okay. That's okay, but
I mean,
Sometimes you gotta talk that talk.
Yeah, sometimes it does feel like, I remember like chapter 389 is infamous for this. There's like a certain page where there's one panel and then the rest is text. And that was right before his longest hiatus yet. Like, and he's still on that hiatus. I think that might have broken him. It's like, he's just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, so
yeah.
Hopefully, Togashi is finished with all the Dragon Quest DLC, so we can finally get back to the story.
Psych, you thought, nigga?
That nigga's never coming back.
I got this one thing. Like, does anyone here think the Star plot was just a Nerf plot?
No,
Star's
plot.
I'll speak on this one because
All right, go East.
I feel like she served her purpose.
I feel like people we're going to talk about plot devices actually being, something that's consistently used, and it's not a bad thing. It just goes back to a lot of other words that we use that got a stigma against them, and like a negative connotation. Where in reality, they're really not that bad. And the plot device is one of them. But it's depending on how you use it and way it's phrased, that it comes off as like it's just lazy writing, but a lot of things are plot devices. No, she wasn't just a nerf because she also is basically, she wasn't just a nerf Shiggy because she also basically what gave them extra time, and that gives them leadway with the League of Villains to also see that off once, like they not the guy he's fucking with. It also her being the strongest person to come and not meet up with Deku. I told everybody don't get those headcanons together because the minute Shigaraki popped up on her, I said, there's only one person that can win this battle, and that's Shigaraki. So I was like, at that point, I was like, yeah, she can pull something like, but she not coming out of this unscathed or where her quirk, whatever the case might be. I knew Shigaraki was gonna win that battle because he was only at 98%. They already said for 83 chapters before she showed up, he wake up at 100 is a done deal. And then those two logically linked up, like those two linked up logically with the narrative, they would have really beat Shigaraki and like been able to kill him easy peasy. So it's like,
Yep.
And then also her purpose was not just to nerf Shigaraki. She also served the purpose to, if the strongest person in the world could not take out Shigaraki, this is what pulled the forces back. So once again, the heroes are at a disadvantage with going to fight the villains. They don't have the same amount of manpower.
Here's the thing, East. In a vacuum, this arc is really cool. In a vacuum. As a whole, it stands out like a sore thumb.
Why do you say that though?
Yeah, because I don't think this is. I just see this as
I don't agree.
Even an arc.
Like, because when we were talking about pacing issues, it feels like this. Like, there's like this section of Star's plot was like, I wanted to get a hint of Star existing beforehand. In a way,
did.
No.
How?
When
She's
was
in the
Star?
movie.
Are you referring
No.
to like the silhouette?
Hold on.
In the early chapters,
Hold
when
on.
they're
Hold on.
mentioning that the foreign
specifically,
assistance
no.
is coming in.
At
Star was
303,
never
they
hinted
also,
at.
huh?
Star was never hinted at in the manga.
Yes, she was.
Not her specifically, but we knew other heroes.
No. They literally.
No, wait a minute. No, there was a silhouette of
that
her.
was her
She
silhouette.
was originally planned to be a guy, but no, there was a silhouette of her.
Yes, at 303.
There's no way to deny that. Literally.
Yeah, Hawks literally talked about it. It's like, you know how he reveals characters. Like, he not just finna be like, number one, Star Strikes for number one. Like, she made her appearance. And now she just popped out of thin air. They talked about, we have no foreign aid at 303. The world's going to shit. And she had a silhouette. Then again, Endeavor said, yo, we gotta have a date on the foreign heroes to come soon. Just chill out. And then Deku was like, nah, I gotta keep moving. I got this, that, and the other. And then that's when she popped up. Was like, well, she made her move abruptly, like within the narrative. Like, it's like, oh, she just showed up. It's like, yeah, that's the point, because she took off preemptively against like everybody's cosign. She didn't wait to be like, oh, you can go. But at the same time, it's like, how do you even introduce her? Would you say, oh, Star Strikes for America is coming, or the number one here for America? Because
you wanted a one-off line, like, oh, that hero in America, like, previous arc, like that would have been like a waste of time to me, to be honest.
It's not one-off line.
It would have been cool.
Personally, I do have somewhat of an issue with the arc, where it's like, yeah, it is kind of abrupt, but at the same time, we learned a lot about All for One in that stretch of chapters, and I felt that was more a building exercise for him, so you understood. Like, we sort of understood his motivations before, but there I think we got like such a clear glimpse at who he is as a person and like why he's in this fight. And like, still the coolest moment to me is when the New Order quirk vestige turns into this giant skeleton, and you realize All for One is absolutely terrified of All Might. Like, he says, he dismisses him. He's like, he's just no, if he's a loser, I don't care about him anymore. That motherfucker is lying through his teeth. He lies awake at night thinking about what All Might did to him, and he's still scared, and that's what's going to be his undoing in the end.
Oh, do you remember did you notice one of my favorite things about that chapter? Is that when he says, take a hike, dead lady, he's so mad. His face is so mad and scrunched up. You can tell where his eyes are. Like, you can you can like see him glaring without eyes at Star and Stripe. That's how pissed he is.
Yeah, do you guys think we're gonna get a glimpse at his face before the end of the manga? I kind of hope so.
If we got Hagaka rated, definitely.
Hey, Tarnish, do you want to just do this now? Because you know where we stand. And I might as well just talk about it. I'm tired anyway.
Wait, about what?
You know what was my biggest problem?
We know who
with
we
Star
know.
and Stripe
We
as
know
just
where
a
people stand.
From California,
guys,
right? But she
I have to
wasn't.
go out of the screen. I might join later, but I have to go out right now because I have to go back to the barbecue. Okay.
I see. I
Come by,
see.
man.
G, I got you.
Eat, make sure you eat good.
Yeah.
Eat
right now.
proper, eat good, sleep good, feel good. It's all about health.
Thank you. I wish you the best, all of you guys. Also the people that are watching the stream, like the stream. Give your love to Aniki, Winnie, and yeah. Thank you guys. See you.
Later,
Bonzo.
Now, you know what was my biggest problem with Star and Stripe? She's from California, but she wasn't even playing California by Tupac in the Jets.
This nigga. All right.
Anyway, all right, Tarnish. Let's go ahead.
Does Horikoshi know who Tupac is?
I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Who knows? Honestly, I don't know.
So.
All right,
Araki would know. Araki knows.
Me and Tarnish about speak.
Yeah, Araki made a stand called Notorious Big. He knows who Tupac is.
Yeah. So basically, we seen where Anaki's more on the neutral side, but more open, and Volk is too. Me and Tarnish still got money on part 2, so I'm just gonna lay that out there.
Wait. That's what I was gonna ask y'all too, because people be having problems with the pacing and this and that, and the students having like a week to deal with AFO and the villains. I just don't see that happening.
Don't see it.
Logically, like a time skip or like an MHA Shippuden or something. I wanted to ask y'all that.
Well,
I think so. I think so.
Me and
I
Tarnish,
don't know.
Because we already said I'm not switching on my stance. Like, there's no way you just do this at 16 and become the greatest of everything. This, that, and other. And it was a thing we having last stream where Nadir, you remember, like, there needs to be a wall for Deku. Even All Might lost his master, and then he got into that fight. And then even after that, he had that blow with fucking All One, and then he got crippled. But Deku has not had that actual brick wall. For him to come to the top dog, top hero,
he can't become the greatest hero.
Guy.
I mean, this is shonen though. This is shonen though. They all do this at 16.
He needs his Peter Parker moment.
That's why God of High School is dope.
Hold
because
on,
it ages its character
wait a
17
minute.
years.
Ain't everybody watching No Way Home? Some
No,
homies
but
over
in general, Uncle Ben. We talking about Uncle Ben in general. He needs an actual brick wall and an L.
Even last stream you said that, East. You were like, Deku, he's not the nigga we hear narrating. That's like that's a way older Deku. That's not the nigga that he is right now. We haven't gotten there yet.
It's not, bro. It's not.
We haven't gotten there yet.
It's really not.
You can't pitch to me honestly right now. If you go back and look at those actual panels, read them for yourself. That Deku narrating and the Deku we see right now are not the same people. Please don't try to pitch to me. Those are the same people. There is a level of maturity that is insane, like compared to like the way he talks.
I that actually brings me to something that I found interesting about the actual chapter this week. Tsukiyuchi kind of pushed Deku to the side. Is like, all right, stop being a dumb kid, because he thought he was like just being emotional. But then Deku like kind of surprised everybody. He's like, no, we can use this against All for One. Like, and I just thought that was a cool moment for him, because at the start he would kind of be emotional first instead of practical, but now he's starting to find a way to bring the two together.
I think he was emotional because he was thinking that way. He didn't want to think that way. He was emotional because he was thinking that way.
And then on top of that, it's like
I mean, wait. Even then, Aizawa asked him, "Do you have a plan?" He's like, "No."
And then that's the thing too. Is like, well, they are.
So he's doing all that talking, but he's not really he's not thinking really ahead.
It's like Tsukuichi and them were still like they were going to still take that nigga Aomo away until Aizawa spoke up. They don't have that clout. They don't have that authority. They don't have that what they should yet. Even Minchi is like they have not faced the brunt of that L that they need to really take.
Also another thing in regards to like Deku's big brick wall. So like I know a lot of people don't like this, but like Horikoshi said in like last night, he was like Bakugo's gonna have a big role. and we know he scrapped Heroes Rising. That's not happening. Like the One for All transfer, he scrapped that. What if do y'all see Bakugo dying
No,
at the end?
no. I
You
think
If
But-
Bakugo dies, do you know what happens to Japanese who's the best character polls?
They still gonna try.
Annihilated.
Bakugo fucking gets that shit in his chokehold, even when it's outside of MHA, because them fangirls never letting him go.
He my favorite character.
No,
so I don't
he
mind-
goes
I
from
don't
top
mind
one
that.
in one series to top infinity in every other series. They will go.
No,
crazy.
I mean,
It
like
will be
we
like
could
freaking
talk about
Omnicron,
outside.
bro.
We could talk about outside forces all we want, but like in the series, like he's already tried to sacrifice himself before. So like,
I've actually always wanted to say this to you guys.
What?
Bakugo is not my favorite character, or I like it.
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but you know, he was. I mean, I had 4 people on top of him.
he's barely in my top 10. I'm gonna be honest. That's
my
just me
top
personally.
one.
That's just me personally.
Volk's a
I
bad
found-
person.
there-
Confirmed. No, I'm kidding.
there's a lot about him to dislike, but like he said too, he was like people who love Bakugo and hate Bakugo will love like what he does.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm leaning
That's-
more
that's why I
towards.
was
I'm leaning
like-
more towards him dying. Honestly.
Yeah, that's because that's plausible to think. If you is like, all right, nigga, no matter how much, what you feel about him, you gonna vibe with what he do by the end of this thing. So it's like, all right, how we moving? And by the way, Alves is does this talk sound like how they were talking about the ending before part 2 when he said Chainsaw Man? Chainsaw Man just did it, dropped the shit. This was like, all right, part 2.
Wait. So let's say he didn't scrap that. Hori literally gave it to the movie because he scrapped it. He was like, I'm gonna do something better than this. Is what he said. He's gonna do something better than that.
That reminds me though, I didn't know the details of the super stage. Were the actors for who was in that drawing that was released, were the actors there? Or
I believe some of them were.
I know Ochiko and Toga had the same one. I think they were there. Deku's was there. I believe Shigaraki's was there because I heard something about him.
Okay, so that's what that image was about. I felt so. I think it hints at a couple things, that illustration maybe, but yeah, I guess that was just for
and it's another thing about these translations too. There's this between reaching goal and end goal, because Shibuya literally said Audrey was one of the people. She just said, okay, it's 1 year's ending, and she gave a rough summary. Along with Atsu is just like, all right, ending in 1 year. Shibuya, who kind of translated the actual words from Horikoshi or Deku's VA, she said, well, originally Horikoshi just said reaches goal, but then she added end goal because she said goal alone. Goal alone didn't sound like too proper, so she just added end goal. And then as you see, it's like, all right. But then another translation is just goal to its conclusion. So it's like, all right. That little tweet, the people might try to downplay that, but there are differences. Like I said, I'm standing down on part 2 because there's no way you sell this to me right now that this all just flows perfectly with right now with the kids standing as they are.
Well, that's kind of the thing, though. They mention we've been training the past month, so we haven't even seen their new super moves. We haven't seen how tough they cotton. So it's kind of this Schrodinger's cat situation where until Horikoshi shows us how capable they are, like again, this is what you were talking about, East. He just kind of expects everybody to know everything. It is like, no, we don't. You're keeping this close to the vest.
Nah, I know. There's no way these kids can take on AFO.
There's no way.
There's no way,
bro.
Listen,
I don't care what shonen ass pull y'all try to say is gonna happen.
The only way the kids beat AFO, and you got to realize this would be some wild shit. Yeah, it's gonna be wild. Is if one, we keep getting if we get a couple more intercuts with the League of Villains, where you see them looking at AFO like this nigga.
You shut up,
and then what ends up happening is only the top tiers from Class 1A, not Ojiro ass, Not
Coda.
Not
Yeah,
Coda.
you go do
Definitely
all
not
that.
Coda.
What, you don't think Coda summoning a horde of insects isn't gonna take down the world?
You think a
Powerful
fire ant
supervillains?
is going to
We're
stop
gonna talk about that
AFO?
one theory.
You
I
think
heard.
a fire
Coda?
ant is going to stop AFO?
If Coda wasn't so
Pigeon.
soft,
Yo,
I would maybe be able to justify it. But my thing is that it would take the league and the team teaming up. It'd have to be the league team up. That's the only way I can see AFO going down here. Is if like Dobby was like, I don't like these niggas, but I dislike you even more.
Dobby's not teaming up with Shoto.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Exactly.
I
So I'm
got,
like, that's not
got
happening.
away.
Exactly.
Wait a
Actually,
minute.
as an
I
aside,
totally
there's
got
a web
away
serial
to
called
make this feel
Worm.
natural. I got
Wait, Worm?
the
Hold on, Squid. What were you saying, Volk?
Yeah. No. It was just I made the joke about Coda, and I remembered there is a web serial called Worm where the main protagonist has the power to control insects, but she's like OP as shit. So
now.
no, Coda can be OP. It's just that he's not.
All right, now let me.
He can't be OP. He can be nice, not OP.
We seen old girl from Suicide Squad controlling the rats. Coda need to get on that kind of shit.
Yeah, but Coda don't like
rats
that.
from New York. That's different.
Yeah, if he had the rats from
rats
New
there
York,
rats there are built like subways. I don't know.
Them niggas
I would be scared of him if he had them. I would be.
Yo, this might cross the line, but Coda should control some bats.
Coda has flesh dreadlocks. Like I don't know what to make of that. Like he has flesh dreadlocks. It's so creepy.
Those are supposed to be
nasty. Yeah,
that's even worse.
Let's break this down.
So let me
Hold
explain one way the class could
Wait. Let's
No. Let him go because this comes back.
All right, so let me explain one way they could be AFO if both the league and class 1A they like show up, but they're wearing like the heaviest Tims possible.
Oh my fucking god! Yo, I tired this nigga, dog.
I knew he was trying to get a joke off. I'm like, let him get the joke off.
All right, so let's do it like this. All right, how many chapters do we get in a year?
Around 40, maybe 39.
Okay, let's cut that off by let's push to the limit. Let's say we go 39, and
We
then
had 43 this year.
Yeah, okay. Let's say we get 40. Let's say we get 40 this year, right? Let's say 2022 we get 40 chapters, right?
Okay.
So since now people don't like using other mangaka to compare, right? Since they don't like doing that no more, okay, let's keep it in MHA. All right. Overhaul was about 40 chapters, correct? A little bit over 40.
41.
Much, yeah.
The war was how many chapters again?
57.
So 57, and then that's 40, and then for that the match, and then you have to do like this. The other plot points that got to be crossed off the list or even addressed at some point. So basically, if joint, and then you got to think. Let's put joint training into the mix. If team battles went that long, right, and it was about 23 chapters, 23 chapters, then it's like that's extended. So then that's more than just like 5 matches technically, because then you got 1A. Then you got 1B because Shinso and Monoma are supposed to be doing some shit too. Then you got Mirio and all these other like cast of characters to actually do stuff. Because if Maki is out this fight, which he should be, which would be better for the story, it's going to be a shit ton of team battles more so to be handling and characters to take down the other forces. So that's already like how you going to end that. If things go smoothly, you're going to end in a year with all that stuff to do. Not to mention the other stuff that was set up that needs to be handled properly. So then it's like, all right. They got let's run through the list again. They got multiple advisors, not just the one seen on that page. They got more advisors. They got the LOV, and people got their specific. Some of the heavy hitters got to fight specific LOV people. Then you got your high end normals. Then you got more forces from the streets that they probably gonna recruit before this whole 1 week is up. So it's like once again, how they actually matching up against all this and manpower on top of that.
Realistically,
all the fighting they have to do, plot points that gotta be crossed off that can't even be done during the fight. Then I'm gonna take it back to other stuff he said since we taking his words, right? He also said, well, I'm working with my editor so that we close up everything and wrap up everything, right? He also said that. Then he also said the second year is gonna come back. Then he also said compressor's gonna come back. So it's like trying to do all that shit in like a year, and you trying to like and all the stuff they not ready for, trying to pitch to me like 100% that just ends here is like, yeah. And then All Might's death plot line, the only way that works, nullifying that, is Deku beating Shigaraki right here, right now, because there ain't no other person that's finna come from All Might head. Now I don't say Shonen, because you was switching up before. Y'all switching up before. Now I'm talking logically. We ain't finna use the whole it's a Shonen excuse.
Yeah, I don't buy
that.
that.
We're not using that. Yes, y'all go to. I went
like literally,
logic.
like bro. Last chapter ended in the most shonen way possible. Take my hand, Aoyama. You could be a hero, and then he starts off this chapter with there's no hand holding. Like there's no shonen. Like like it's here. Obviously it's a shonen, but he keeps it realistic at the same time.
And to a certain extent, like I said, the kids don't have that weight they should. Like Deku was talking this, that, and other. But guess what? Shikuichi wasn't going for it until Aizawa was like, it's my responsibility. I got a plan for this. Cover his ears. That's when Shikuichi actually listened. Deku didn't have that weight.
I said Midori doesn't have a presence.
He didn't have that weight yet. He has a presence with his class, yes, and people his age, but that's the difference between you talking to adults with big boy toys, like actually getting shit done. Yeah, and then you talking to like, your friends. Like there's a difference.
You think you could boss up on the president? Nah, I don't think so.
Yo, why hasn't Nezu talked that much?
He a sleeper.
Don't worry, he gonna talk. He gonna get talked to his master real quick. He's like, yo,
Nezu's the traitor, nigga.
He gonna get talking real quick. Like, yo,
that's why he running for this plan so much. All Might is really starting to think. Like, I'm surprised like how little dialogue we got from All Might this chapter. Like, he literally only said one thing. It all depends on him. Because he just got hit with some shit. Like, that facial expression from last chapter, like, I don't think that was just a facial expression. He going through it. He just got reminded, bro. Like, nah, all for one.
Reminded because remember last time we talked about the traitor plot and he was talking to Nezu. And Nezu was like, All Might was like, nah, there can't be anyone here with like that. What are you talking about?
All Might is finally putting pieces together on how All for One move. Like, I don't know. He forgot for a minute. He forgot. But he's reminded now. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Nezu responded to him when he said that. He was like, it all depends on him. Nezu was like, it certainly seems feasible with some angry look on his face. I don't trust this rat, bro.
Oh God, hey, listen, hey, Tanisi agreed. Thank you. He's like, shot. Take my hand. Chaser. Request denied. Shonen trope subverted. Oh God.
Exactly. Like, immediately. So how do y'all expect like Deku to just and the kids to just beat Shigaraki all for one? Like, you know what I'm saying?
And then that means
the power of Jesus.
That means Shigaraki. I mean, that means Deku only finna use the second's quirk probably when they go fight all for one, and then when he fights Shigaraki. That's 2 times.
Yo, East, that's the thing too. We keep talking about all for one. Y'all know Horikoshi said last night that Shigaraki is Deku's obstacle, not all for one.
That extends it even further because we have to deal with Nutsack Face right now until we get him out the way, and then deal with Shigaraki and Deku. So that's even like more time on top of fighting. So it's like, all right, the war is 57, and we got all this stuff to end for the manga. And it's like, it just don't work that you're selling this pitch to me. Like, we really like just no continuation of some sort with all this. That like, I can't just see it and just lie like that.
I can't. I just can't until like, even next chapter. Like, let's say next chapter, Deku opens up. He's like, oh, with all my new gear, I could go to like 60%. I'm still not gonna think it's ending. Because Shigaraki, at the end of the day, at 100%, is going to be way above that. Way above that.
I can't get over Deku's face with May's boobs in his face. This dude.
I love it. That was hilarious.
This dude.
That's gross.
I was respecting it because he was still going strong. I'm like, all right, you see, it wasn't no gag no more. Like, it was a gag, but he didn't fall for it. He was like, all right, nigga.
No, it was a gag.
He saw it coming.
Like, what manga do you think I'm in right now?
She definitely grew up.
My stance on this and my wondering is that because I don't expect them to make it to HQ, you think they're like trying to do like an emergency costume prepare for Deku? Like, hey, yo, Hatsune, can you real quick do this so we can tail this vehicle? Because like the idea of none of them tailing Aoyama here seems ridiculous to me.
Oh,
they gonna give him a heavy jacket with some Vicks, and that's it.
Would y'all be shocked to find out like Sansa and that police dude Sukachi are like working for AFO too?
No, I think you weren't in the stream yet when I mentioned that. But specifically, in my last review, I talked about it too. Suka Uchi's sister Makoto has the quirk polygraph.
Oh, from Vigilantes.
Yup.
Okay,
And so, and you know, they mentioned all for one can tell if you're lying. So to me, Suka Uchi could easily end up being like off of that because they made it a point to bring that up finally. That could make him be the one that's like actually a traitor. Which, because I don't think there's one traitor. It just doesn't make sense, especially not with off one being like, I have multiple plans and threads and
several friends.
Have we seen Chris Brown's Insta? Unfortunately.
I'm not saying that.
Listen, I was talking.
Hey, we're not doing this again.
We're not doing this on stream.
I'm not. I don't got no more left in me to talk about that.
All I got to say to Thomas Washington is that, hey, y'all can call Copeland if you want, but I mean, where y'all logic, like on my did not flat out deny there's no plausibility and flat like act like I'm pulling the shit out my ass but the story.
Tell me how they win. Tell me how they win.
Don't and I have a backup because it's part 2. And guess what? Where Shinso at? Where Monoma at? Where Class 1B at?
Shit, the power.
The second years are supposed to come back off. Compress supposed to come back. We haven't even touched on the Vigilante Corps spinning the narrative. The entire Meta Liberation Front thing, like I understand it's not a full arc, but it can be expanded upon in certain aspects a little bit. And it's like you got Spinner having to take out, and off one is still here. It's like try pitching to me. This is just going to close all out.
And Shigaraki hasn't destroyed anything yet.
Shigaraki ain't destroyed anything.
He ain't destroyed nothing. Come on, Tarnish. Come on.
I think at the very shortest. Hold
on.
The very shortest.
I know how.
Hold on, wait.
My bad.
I think at the very shortest, the manga is going to be about 400 chapters. So it's just like my stance is I do not think we're getting a part 2 personally, but it's like what it depends on is how Horikoshi changes his mind, because if he changes his mind, yes, he says it's like, oh, I want to end it in a year. He wanted to do final act in 5 volumes, and then he said, that's not going to work. So even now, it's like it's all dependent on what he thinks is best and how far away he thinks he is from being from approaching creative burnout. So yeah, like it's not a clear-cut thing. Like again, mangaka have no sense of numbers.
They really don't. It's fucking crazy. Like, and who was damn Andrew kept saying, oh, Oda Hori's not Oda. Okay, we ain't gotta just use one mangaka. Plenty of niggas say they shit in their final act, final arc, this, that, and other, and no, they be running on. Nigga,
look, I'm gonna be honest with you. The 1,000-Year Blood War, I know plenty of other people feel like they have issues with that, but when you read that arc, that 200 chapter arc, there's multiple phases to that arc to the extent where it's like 4 or 5 arcs in one.
I love 1,000-Year Blood War. Like I cannot tell you how excited I am to see that animated. It's like for me, it's that and Aaron Carr. I just think they're of equitable quality, but it's so good. And it just stings that ending. So I'm hoping they expand on it. But anyways, again, it's going to be you're gonna have that fight. You're gonna have that shitty fight in the cave, and like everyone's gonna do his emperor thing, is like join me and shit, and then it's gonna move to the school, and then they're gonna move all around, and they're gonna join up with Shiketsu, and it's gonna be pretty crazy. I think.
Yeah, speaking of that, we still got Shiketsu. Like, there's too much stuff to do right now. Like,
physically link up with Shiketsu because it's all a network now running underground that Nezu has been building for like 8 months.
One of the other things about this that I want to kind of highlight, though, is that Suka Uchi is very sus this chapter, actually. The more I think about this, because he's the one who makes a point to emphasize that they need to gag them so that they don't keep talking about anything.
Yeah, am I the
Even
only
though,
one that finds it sus that he keeps bringing up Nagant? Why does he keep bringing that up? He brought it up last chapter too. Like he's really heavy on this Nagant thing. Like, oh, he might explode. He might explode. It's like he knows something.
Wait, hold on. Didn't he say last chapter that it's been like decades, so it's possible it's not going to happen? So why is he shutting this down now?
hold on,
Exactly.
I'm going back to the last chapter real quick.
Last chapter, he said we shouldn't be worried because it happened like decades ago when he was.
He keep bringing it up.
I need people to pay attention to when Vigilantes ends, because I think when Vigilantes ends might be when Horikoshi decides to put Koichi in the main manga. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Koichi's not gonna die. He's gonna be okay. The question is he gonna show up? And I personally think that if he wants to do like this big finale, that he is going to have to use everything.
Yep. Page 11, panel 2. The quirk was granted about a decade ago. The fact that the kid's sitting here in one piece tells us that he's not rigged to blow in case of betrayal the way Nagant was.
I called this shit. What the hell?
He specifically says, like Nagant, he won't blow up.
And now he's saying he might blow up. What the fuck are you on, Tsukachi?
But he's also saying, like, just to be sure, just to go to the hospital too. But I mean, I feel like if he and Sansa aren't working for AFO, I don't see them still making it to the central hospital right now. It's not going to be good for them.
No, I could see him bringing it up before the conversation. Maybe we should go to the hospital, but he's like, no, he might not blow up. And then they start talking. He's like, no, I gotta shut this shit down.
It's like he knows he's gonna blow up because Deku was about to make him switch sides.
Not to mention, if you remember, this kind of reminds me of the back in the chapter when Aoyama was like, see, I wanted to make you smile, blah, 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 blah. And then you remember we get that really sad, like, We get Deku crying, and then Sukauchi looking to the side. And then he asks, Mrs. and Mr. Aoyama, why didn't you inform All for One about our raid in Kamino? My question is that, like, yeah, they didn't know, but how would you know if they did or didn't? Because All for One did show up at Kamino. So how do you know that they didn't know? That they didn't
The only way he would, like, the only thing I can think of is that he put together that, like, Class A had a conversation about it and Aoyama found out. But that's still a reach to me. That's still a reach to me.
The raid was the adults only. The kids didn't know jack shit about the raid.
Right. And where did All for One show up? The raid on the Nomu facility.
Like, the kids didn't know jack shit, so why would he be questioning the parents when the kids don't even know? What the fuck are you on?
Like, he's
Look, I'm gonna say this. Sakashi's a dick.
Because, like, some of these questions are odd. Like, this is just odd behavior.
Hey, Alves, man, Vigilante's been in this final arc for like fucking 2 years.
Bro, ain't they been going on this fight since the medieval times?
Giving me heavy Namek vibes. Heavy Planet
I'm pretty
Namek
sure
vibes.
long-time marriages have started and ended in lesser time than this fight.
And then nigga don't stop transforming, I swear to God.
Bro,
I think this is a Japanese thing, but I want to point it out. Like, I have like a little issue with Ida saying that it's their fault that they didn't notice that Aoyama was a traitor. It's like it feels weird because it also comes into the sense of when in American culture or any kind of culture, when a family member does something bad, everyone likes to blame the parents. Like, why didn't you see this coming?
But normally that's because the signs are pretty obvious. It's like
it's weird that they blame themselves for like we didn't.
Like, okay,
you know what it reminds me of the Todoroki family, where like Fuyumi was like, oh yeah, I could have did this, and Natsuo was like, oh yeah, I could have did this too, and then Rei was like, we all have to take responsibility. It reminds me of that
thing, but it's a victim thing. Like they like if something bad happens that they weren't even in control of, they're like, no, we could have done something. Maybe I don't know. Like what?
Also, Thomas, Tomura calling for AFO to bring the Nomu doesn't mean he has to actively just be sitting in a hovel. Like, yeah, we see that All for One currently is willing to just sit in a hole in the wall, quite literally, but
and just sit there menacingly.
Like, just sitting there waiting the entire, like, all day, doing really fuck all, seems a little odd. Just because I feel like All for One has better shit to do with his time.
this planet will explode in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Also, wait,
And
hold on,
episodes.
like,
Halo.
y'all don't
Halo.
find it sus? Y'all don't find it sus that he said don't tell anybody too?
That's because I'm like, also, is he gonna walk them out in front of everybody to create like discontent? Like, what are you trying to do here by doing it this particular way?
You know what's funny about this? Actually, somebody, I think we was having this conversation in the church, right? And we was in Discord and we was talking about, they was having a debate, which was quite silly in realistic terms. It was like, oh, well, the kids should tell everybody that about the trailer, and they got to, because they're not supposed to be keeping secrets like their previous generation, etc. So I was like, no, that don't work. This is completely different. This is our one chance to turn the tides in the battle, which we have a fucking massive disadvantage on. Ain't no logic and common sense in telling everybody, listen, everybody, we found a traitor that was responsible for
it's Yuga Aoyama, everybody.
It's Yuga Aoyama. But listen, we're gonna use him to trick all for one and do this, that, and the other. I look at them kids, dumb as hell. They went out there and did that shit. Like, no.
3 people in that crowd listening to the kids announce that already hitting up AFO.
Oh God, are they already tweeting? Oh my God, they found a traitor. We finally get off one back. Like, no, you would not tell them niggas that.
I don't know. I don't mind that. I just find it weird that he asked specifically, like, yo, don't say nothing. I'm gonna bring him to HQ. Like, first he was like, they want to take Aoyama to Central Hospital. Now it's HQ. So it's like, all right, where are you gonna go first?
HQ is where AFO at. That's HQ.
You know what Hori can do right now, though? What Hori can do right now is have the civilians find out Aoyama was a traitor and then like, wait, if he's a traitor, who else are the traitors? And then just like completely lose faith in that area completely.
Niggas just start fighting each other and shit.
Because you can also
fighting each other over
have this turn into as they're leaving, they get attacked by the mob, blah blah blah, because that's also a viable option on the table with the way this is set up.
Mm-hmm. Hey, but there's something interesting to think about too in this regard, right? It like, and it was like, when I was talking about this, right? It was really interesting because about the kids, doing not doing what the adults do and shit like that. And I was thinking about this, right? In that it reminds me of the 100. And then the one, if you haven't seen the 100, it's like a TV show. Basically, long story short, humanity had to go to space because of radiation, the whole gimmick. And then like basically you couldn't only have like one child in space because they own one colony, so it's not a lot of space. So basically you commit one crime, you basically go to jail and you basically get like floated once you turn a certain age. Like they send you out to space just to die, basically. Because
hold on, I'm gonna fix what you just said though, like because I've actually watched it like twice, 3 times.
Okay, thank you, because my memory is fuzzy.
No, because so what happens at that when you're below 18, they can't float you. So like juvenile detention, you just get sent to prison until you're of age, and then they see your case again, and then they like see if it's floatable or not.
But that most times they just did it anyway. Because that's it. So then if you commit, and then you adult, you commit a crime, they just float you right out because that's what they did to Clark's dad.
Oh yeah, because there are like resources and shit, like, and like no, like whatever you're doing is against us, so we're just gonna float you.
Yeah, exactly. So basically the kids, and basically all the kids got sent to Earth as like, they were going. Basically a lot of the kids just got sent to Earth to, test out the waters as guinea pigs. But the thing they did was they hated the adults so much for making these decisions, right? But when all the kids were on the ground by themselves in this new environment and they had to fend for themselves, then they started making tough decisions and shit. Then they had to kick somebody out who killed somebody else and do this shit and that and other. And it was funny because it took like 3 seasons until they realized like, well, we're just like the fucking adults making these decisions like, oh, well, it's for the betterment of them, or they're not as good. And it's like, well, remember last year you was calling the fucking adults assholes for doing this shit, but now you're doing the same shit. It's funny when it's shoe on the other foot. Then it ain't so like, it ain't so easy to judge shit. When it's shoe on the other foot, it ain't so easy just to call niggas out on shit.
Yeah, humans be humans.
Exactly, because it's like, well, y'all was excommunicating people for doing crimes too.
Mm-hmm. All right, I want to start wrapping up. Unless you got some real big squid.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to mention something about like plot devices and like the idea that like something is bad because it's being used as a plot device. I've never really had a problem with plot device, because specifically, like in some of the best like classic literature I've read, every element is meant to service the plot. It should like, I think that there's a difference between it feeling like natural and like as if it's only meant to like progress the story, but it should all but every element in the story should be pushing the plot in some way.
I know what you're talking about, Chris. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with a plot device at all. I agree with you that. But it's something jarring when a plot device is only seen as a plot device. When it's so shallow, it's only seen as a plot device. Like there's nothing else that you're here for. You don't bring anything else but the plot device. I think that's the only time when it can be a little bad.
I mean, like, yeah. So, like, I don't know. I just find that term pretty weird because that's literally what good stories are supposed to do. Progress their plots organically while keeping characters consistent and interesting.
Yeah.
Everything.
No, I agree. Yeah, whenever people call Area a plot device, it's kind of funny because it's like, well, she's a plot device because she helped Deku in one fight, even though like her plot hasn't centered around like helping Deku, but helping herself most of this way through. All right.
I just find it hilarious that
I think when people say
something so basic is considered like
a negative.
Yeah.
Like a basic tenet of storytelling.
The plot, yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I would be scared if they had to actually read something with like tons of like plot progression.
With, like, in a quick question
with words.
Has everybody here watched Arcane?
Oh yeah, dude. You know,
it's funny you say that. I'm about to start today. I'm about to start it today.
Okay. So, all right, we'll talk about that later. Then I just want to make sure because
he was on the soundtrack.
Arcane discussion at some point. Want to have that because I actually really liked it.
So yeah, an Arcane discussion would be fire.
So yeah. All right. Want to start wrapping this up though? Let's do final thoughts on the chapter. Let's start with Nadir.
Woo. All right, final thoughts. I like everything that's been said. I like it. Like I like that Kirishima also like brought in the whole his thought process on how, although like we didn't hold it against Deku, but I felt a little was weird that he compared Deku's situation with Ayama's situation. But I like that Kirishima actually like brought it up. It's a transition chapter. That's the thing. It's not a chapter by itself. It's a transition chapter to the next big thing. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It's not that great. It's not that bad.
Okay.
That's it. It's not that great. It's not that bad. Like Hori still does amazing paneling. Hori does still do great drawings. The emotions are still there. Like the movements are still there, and like the way he's so good at drawing. I hate it. He's so good at drawing. I hate it. It's like why do you have so much talent in your hands, man?
Don't worry, I did kick the LOL addiction. I've been league free for, if you ignore the fact that I did play some TFT within the last year, and I did make the point to update my League of Legends patch.
Oh wow.
If you ignore that, I've kicked the addiction.
That's crazy. That's crazy how you really trying to not put that under addiction. That's crazy.
But also, Squid, your turn. Final thoughts.
All right. I just watched Dallas Buyers Club, by the way. All right. So let me see. What do I think about this chapter? I like the premise of it. I'm glad to see Deku like almost try to be pragmatic, even though in reality it's just because he doesn't want Aoyama to like, I'm not sure how to word this. Like he realizes how Yama's a good person, so he doesn't want to see him punished like an evildoer. But I'm glad he points out the fact that we can use him, but he doesn't figure out how. That's kind of funny. Couchy's kind of sus. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he didn't have a nap. Maybe he'll look more trustworthy after he gets some sleep. Let's see what else. The drawing was amazing. That's consistently great. And it's definitely a transitioning chapter. It's definitely building up to something more more not substantive, but a more dense. And for that, I'll probably give it like a 6.5. It's like a almost 7. It's like a C, but it's like a C minus. But I guess that's more like a C. It's like a 6.7 through like 9. Yeah, 6.7 through 9. 6.9. Yeah, that's my score. All right.
Let's see, who do I want to have go up next? Let's go with Tarnish.
I really like this chapter. Not like in a way where it's like a masterpiece. Of course not. It's not. It's a transitional chapter, but I do like the chapter a lot. Especially that cover page with Deku and Aoyama. I especially love the editor note that is never in the officials, but it was like 2 former quirkless boys who went down different paths, like that hit. Now, there's one moment I want to talk about in particular. It's Ida's moment. I didn't like this moment at first. When I first read the leaks, I was like, Ida, what's up with you, bro? Like, what you mean that it don't matter? But once I really started to think about it, and I spoke to Bala too, Bala pointed something out, like how he connected to the Stain arc. And I remember when Deku saw Ida go to Hosu, and he was like, I wish I had spoken to Ida. Like, I wish I tried harder. And then Ida had that moment with Aoyama during the license exam, the whole equal thing that he brought up. And you know about how Ida had that little bit of darkness in his heart, like with his family. He wanted to kill Stain. He was hurt about his brother. He was basically acting for his brother. So I actually feel like out of anybody, he's actually in like a position to really understand Aoyama, like having things in his heart that he didn't want to speak about. Like when Deku approached him about his brother after the sports festival, he brushed it off like, oh, I'm good. Don't worry about my brother. And, we know he wasn't. So he knows what it's like to put on a face and hide how he feels. So I kind of get why he said it's their responsibility for not noticing, especially him being the class rep, and how during those Deku and Aoyama chapters, he asked Aoyama to hang out with them. He said, yo, you want to come eat with us? He's always been, I don't know, he's just attentive as the class president. So he probably feels the same way Aizawa does, like it's my fault. But yeah, so I've lightened up to this moment a lot, like really thinking about it. I really feel like Ida, like this moment was actually really good compared to when I first read it. And reactionary, I was like, yo, Ida, this is trash. Like, why are you forgiving him so easily? But I really thought about it and it makes sense to me. And as I was saying, he's not going to expel Aoyama. Gas too. Like, of course he would say that. Like, of course he would. Yep. You don't even have the authority to expel him right now. School's not having me, but of course he's going to say that. But I give this chapter like a 7, a high 7 or 8, honestly, on a reread. Like, because this is a part 1 chapter too. So the second part might make this one better. How Hori always do that. But yeah, that's all for me.
All right. First off, I just want to hit up these super chats. Thomas came through, said, Christmas is 6 days away. So I want to wish everyone a great one and to stay safe. Merry Christmas, y'all. You guys deserve a great one. While we're on the topic of holidays, because whether or not we do another live stream where we do this year in MHA or not, if we don't, then, hey, it is what it is. But there were people interested. I'm going to do some messaging on Twitter and stuff and try to pull it together and see if I can get some good guests. Sean Ross was interested, so we'll see if I can pull some of the classic guests you guys up. So I'll remember from some of the other Billboard streams. Do want to wish those of you who do the Hanukkah thing, your happy Hanukkah or Hanukkah. Of course, we're saying Merry Christmas, Happy Three Kings Day to those of you in Puerto Rico, my Puerto Rican people. Found out about that holiday this year. Boxing Day for you Canadians. I got you, Volk.
Yep. That's the real party up here because everything is dirt cheap. Dirt cheap.
And to all of my Pan-African brothers,
yes.
I need to say Happy Kwanzaa, my brother.
Yes, we're wishing a happy
my
Kwanzaa.
Dr. Umar B.
Happy birthday.
And then, of course, a Happy New Year because I'll plan on releasing a couple more solo videos throughout the year, even if we don't do another stream. So technically you'll see me, but I won't be interacting with you for real like that. So I want to just cover the bases, make sure you're enjoying your holidays. Now let's get back to the closing thoughts. Fish, it's on you.
First off, I just want to say it's really an honor just to be on the Church MHA. I really appreciate y'all, let me come on and share my thoughts a little and, extending that hand out to me just like Deku be doing. So I really appreciate all y'all and what y'all be doing for the community at MHA. And the chapter itself, I was fucking with it. I always tell my people when they come to my channel or look at my content, I rate a chapter as either it's trash, it's decent, it's good, or I'm fucking with it. And this week, I'm always fucking with it when it's hoary. So it was a really good chapter. And I love seeing Aizawa again, even though he really wasn't saying nothing like Tarnish was saying. But just talking to y'all now, I'm looking at Tsukichi or whatever. I'm looking at him a little different. I don't know. His dialogue's kind of weird. And moving forward, I don't know. It's not looking good for them. If they're not working for AFO, I don't think it's looking good for them as they're moving Aoyama away. But yeah, it was a great chapter to me. I enjoyed this whole setup and I can't wait for part 2.
But also, Nadir did come through with a super chat because he wanted to. Don't know if I said that. And Alves, fun fact, my video on the top 5 manga of the year is actually largely edited. I just have to finish out the edits for around the back half of the video, and then that can be released. So that'll be out. That should be out this week. Especially if East gives me a thumbnail. Now,
Hey. Yeah, you didn't tell me what top 5 was. So shit.
Hey, I don't want spoilers in the thumbnail.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
But you can throw JJK in the thumbnail.
All right, so this.
Yo, I got a question for y'all before I head out, before all this is wrapped up.
What's up?
The thing is, I haven't actually ever been spoiled through JJK, one bit.
Really?
I haven't watched it. I've managed to avoid all spoilers. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about a lot of manga. I don't know.
That's crazy.
I know how to manage spoilers. I don't know anything about anything.
No, his Twitter was blessed by Jesus.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Real.
Oh
so
no!
What's
I
your
don't
question?
about
Yeah, that's right. Well, so what's your question, Nadir?
Should I watch it if I don't want to? The thing is, what do you recommend? I don't want to go. I don't go into things because people recommend things. It's more of I do it when I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But should I go into it and be all right, let's see what this is about, and then go from there? Because right now I'm telling you, I don't have any no feeling of wanting to watch or read it, but everyone keeps talking about it. I'm like, what is this shit?
So what I would say is that specifically, I would say you should watch the first core, the first 13 episodes that come with JJK. That way, because it's animated by Mappa, so you're at least get the good animation and stuff for the action. So even if you find yourself after those 13 episodes, I'm not really invested in these characters or their story like that,
or the slave labor.
It'll at least give you, you'll be all right, cool. At least it looked nice, and then you can just walk away from it. That's how I always say, because I'm not one of those people who's what? This series is 100 episodes long, and you didn't watch at least 50 of them. Your opinion is invalid. No. If somebody watches the equivalent of 3 to 4 hours of something, that's the equivalent of watching an entire movie of that thing. They're allowed to be yeah, I don't like this. Obviously, there's, the amount of weight you put on it does go down a little when it's somebody who hasn't watched as much. But in general, you're allowed to at least know if something you're enjoying something or not. So I would say just watch that first core, because that's 3 to 4 hours of your time, and then if you don't like it, you just don't have to look back.
This might also come to a surprise, but I've also managed to not hear anything about Demon Slayer.
Wow,
That's surprising. That's not.
I don't
Actually,
know.
no.
I told you.
You're not
His
missing
Twitter
out.
is
You're not
busted.
missing
I'm not.
out.
No, Tarnish. I'm not going to tell you why you haven't heard a lot about Demon Slayer, because we'll be here for an extra like 15 minutes because Tarnish will go in. So instead, I'm going to pass it to Volk. Let you get some of your last words and thoughts on this chapter out.
All right. So this chapter was neat. Again, transition. Mostly, I'm excited to see Deku's finalized design next chapter, because him and Ida are going for their new costumes. I'm sure May has been doing some tweaks. I'm sure she's put the Air Force gloves back on. They might even be different color, because on the volume 4 chapter, volume 4 cover, she's holding up the Air Force gloves, but they're red. So I'm just wondering if there's going to be a color change there. But anyway, it was a neat chapter. It was neat to see more of the parallels between Aoyama and Deku. But I am going to leave you guys with something to think about. I was pouring back through old pages, and I noticed Aoyama is the person who is next to Deku, and he sees like his room is a mess after he has that dream, and he awakens to his multiple quirks. And then some chapters later, chapter 209, All for One says, I can hear my little brother's voice. And so is that just a coincidence? Does All for One actually know that Deku awakened to his quirks? Might have known somehow. And building off of that, because Aoyama didn't really tell him anything that the students didn't know. Like, he just told him general schedules and stuff, which is why nobody suspected anything. They thought it was like top secret information, but the top secret information just happened to be the general schedule and stuff and locations. There is also this moment earlier. Aoyama is very cognizant of a lot of things, and one of the things he picks up on faster than any of the students is that Ochako has a crush on Deku. So I'm wondering if that could come back, and All for One could specifically target her. I don't know. But anyway, neat chapter. This has been a very interesting year for MHA, regardless of whether this ends in 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to be with it the whole way. I'm excited to see everything wrap up. And yeah, I'm looking forward to if we can get that end of year discussion together. I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Archbishop East, take us home.
Oh, time for East to take us home. Okie dokie.
Yes, sir, brother.
Preach it.
As we
For
come
the good congregation.
into the final
Everyone hold
year,
hands.
the final chapter of MHA for 2021, we are again blessed to lay our eyes on such a fantastic, well-crafted piece of literature. I am honestly astounded and really well blessed to be here with such amazing people to discuss this topic. I'm truly happy what the series has brought me, and it ended on a very high note. Thought it would have ended higher, but apparently Horikoshi plans to come back here and kick it off real big and bad next week next chapter with part 2, how we became arrows with some clean, new, sleek designs. So it should be real fun to get in there, man. Honestly, y'all, I mean, it should, to me, y'all already know how fuck go, man. Sheesh! Man, listen, y'all already know till the wheels fall off. I know what everybody else rated, but you already know how this goes. You already know what I'm finna say. 10 out of 10, like I do every week. Come on, man. Stop playing me. You must not know who I am. Please, man. Come on, man. Y'all must not know who I am. I absolutely love it. I'm telling y'all, man. Once again, the kids speaking up, and so at least some people you can tell still have some gripes or some angst about the situation they put in. But at the end of the day, they do realize that this is our friend and he was in pain and he was hurting. Think about how he feels and use a little bit of empathy instead of just blaming him for everything that happened. We can't, the Ida said, that's in the past now, but maybe if they had tried a little bit harder, notice the signs, they could have stopped this, and sort of speak, you know what I'm saying? So So it's like let them be. Okay, I understand. Y'all wanted more conflict, but at the same time, we got a fucking week, and we're at a disadvantage. We don't really have time to be. I don't want them. You want them. I don't want them. I fuck them. Like we don't have time for that. Let's keep it pushing, bro. Like let's be more mature about this than anything. And the fact that they were trying to have the fact that they had a custom quite mature that they moved forward because they knew what they needed to do. Shout out to the GOAT, Shoto Aizawa, looking out for his kids. That's the top one homeroom teacher, man. I need this nigga to the end, the wheels fall off to the end of this manga, man. I truly love that nigga coming out here. Oh, I know, Deku, I know you ain't got no plan, like I figured, but I'll take care of this one. I got you. That's what I'm calling out support, man. We're talking. In a way, Ayama still views himself as some despicable villain. He takes full responsibility for what he did. And the emotions he just carries and the way he cries, honestly, heartbreaking my heart. The way they're taking that nigga away is absolutely amazing and beautiful. The way Horikoshi illustrate these characters in their raw, pure emotion. It's something that, I feel it other places, but right here, this shit truly touches my soul each and every single time, man. But listen, man.
Are we ending this with analysis or hype?
Who do you think I am? That was the announcement. Time to kick it off. In 3, 2, 1. I'm back in this bitch, nigga. Listen, man. I had a fucking blast this year. I know some of you, everybody wasn't here for all of it, and everybody had their own way to feel about things. But at the end of the day, we still here. We still kicking Horikoshi's still putting the passion, and he kicking that shit back into action. I can't wait until we come in rumbling next year. I appreciate all you niggas for all the support you've done all year long. I appreciate everybody that's in the stream right now, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas, Hanukkah, fuck it, a holiday, and make sure y'all get a break. Don't tell your boss that East is coming to kick your ass, because every single one of y'all in this stream deserves some love, relaxation, and rest. I fucking love y'all. Thank you for coming to the Church of MHA and for this stream. I am undefeated of the East, baby. What it do?
Infinity and never defeated, never lost, ever.
That's our stream for today, y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate you. Thank you for another year with the Church of MHA. Whether next year is the last year that we have the Church of MHA specifically as a thing or not, we'll find out, but we will be back next year. Now, there is an important detail that I have to mention, which is that the next chapter of My Hero Academia is supposed to come out on a Monday, apparently. Whether we'll be able to properly stream that or not, I do not know. Maybe I'll try to take off work and do a late night live reaction. We'll see what's going on. I've heard your feedback. Some of you, some people have asked me to do JJK stuff. Thinking about adding JJK lately as a concept to the channel. Bleach fans, we won. It's back. We get our shit going. We're back.
Akadama Dry Director.
Yo, I gotta say this. Thank y'all for inviting me.
Oh, Nadir, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. We appreciate you being here.
You the big homie.
I'm happy to be back as well.
Yeah. And I'm gonna try to get that big stream popping. Even if it just ends up being us and we just randomly do it next Sunday, that's a possibility too. We'll see what happens. All right. Thomas came through with one last super chat. I made the decision to join the server this year and not be shy, which led to me meeting you all. I love you all. Appreciate you. Hey, Nafisa, you came at the end, but that's okay. You used to do the late night Fire Punch readings with me. It's all good. If y'all want to bring that back at some point, we'll see what happens.
And I managed
Fire Punch is heavy. Be very careful. Make sure you watch or actually read Jigo Kuraku, because even though that anime adaptation trailer looks beautiful, understand that they're more than likely shoving 127 chapters into 24 episodes, and that breaks my heart.
Damn.
So make sure y'all read that, because the art's beautiful, very creepy, sticks to its themes. You'll probably hear more about Jigo Kuraku in the next couple of weeks from me anyway. So that said, this is the Church of MHA. Make sure you give Archbishop East love. Shout out to Bishop Sayez. Shout out to Bishop Ponzu. Shout out to Bishop BG, who aren't here right now. Shout out to Bishop Ian, who couldn't make it because he's been busy most of the year. Just shout out to every single person who's come through, whether it be JD Legend, even Roger, who I know a lot of people are mad at now, but he used to come through, and that's always appreciated. Everybody who's come through and supported this channel, Volk, Fish, Squid, Nadir, you coming on today. All these people made this year.
Tarnish.
Oh, man, I'm tripping.
That's
Tarnishing the call, and I'm tripping.
That's the goat right there.
See Bishop Tarnish. There's a lot of people that have come through and help this channel.
That
The nigga Turnus is not here. It's blemish.
Blemish. But yeah, so appreciate y'all.